Yo, Mass Nightmare, I agree. It's been a while since we got some animation updates. That's true. It's been like 2 years, right? Let me know if the audio sounds okay, by the way. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. But yeah, no, animation updates, yeah. I wouldn't mind. I actually would really like that. For a lot of servants. I wish they would just pump out like 10 a month or something, which it's probably easier said than done, but you know, it'd still be cool. What's up, Rob Bacon? How you going? How you doing, huh? I haven't had bacon in a while, by the way. Coin fixes? So like what, universal coin or something? That'd be cool. That'd be cool. For 8th anniversary, if you guys are like coming in here confused for whatever reason, maybe you didn't read the title or looked at the thumbnail, but we're gonna be talking a little bit about like 8th anniversary, which is next week, along with FGO Fes. And we're gonna be talking about what we want to see, who we're expecting to see, especially for the anniversary servant, because I think everyone's kind of in the similar camp of thinking that Olga's probably gonna finally debut as a playable, pullable servant. But yeah, what's up, Brandon? You're going to FGO Fest, right? You're gonna have the physical experience, whereas my bitch ass, along with a lot of other people, we're just gonna be home, watching other people stream it, or just, you know, going on Reddit or something. I just started Lostbelt and then got Morgan in my... Oh, nice, Rob Bacon. Congratulations. By the way, just full transparency, since you did start the Lostbelt later in the stream, ideally, I want to do a tier list. Wait, we're gonna talk about 8th anniversary, so we're gonna talk about this stuff later. But I do want to do a tier list of all the characters from Lostbelt 6. So there will be very big spoilers going into this. So if you don't want to get spoiled, just letting you know. At some point in the stream, I want to do this just because I've been planning on doing this for a couple weeks now, but just got finished with the story a couple days ago, so finally I'm able to give my full thoughts on all the characters and whatnot, and also gave you guys a couple of weeks, couple of days to catch up on the story as well. So we already kind of know who's gonna be in the top and the bottom. Out of context, it doesn't sound right, but I'm really curious who to see, you know, who's like in the other tiers, I guess you could say. So I watched a lot of stuff about Lostbelt because I'm not planning to read all. Okay, okay, Rob Bacon. Okay, so you could stick around for the ride, but for the most part, I just kind of want to just talk about the 8th anniversary, what's to expect and what we want to see. Is it far-fetched to assume that Neurofest will be announced? Well, the fact that the NA team is over there doing their own live stream, and I saw some people speculate that maybe they will do the announcements for like Neurofest and maybe even the summer events over at NA over there, which would be pretty cool if we could get the news from there. That'd be insane. We're getting JP news at the same time as NA news in the same physical location within the same live stream, kind of. So that's gonna be interesting. By the way, I will live stream my reactions to the news, as well as probably gonna do the Gacha roll, because if it is Olga, I'm definitely gonna roll. That's just how it's gonna go. Although if because I did a poll yesterday and I put Alco in the poll and she did not get as many votes as I thought she would, but I guess when you're an FGO player, most FGO players, I would assume, don't really dive into many other Type Moon stuff. Maybe other fates, but I probably underestimated how many people actually don't, you know, play Mihoyo or Tsukihime or whatever. But it was interesting to see Alco so low when she's probably one of the more popular Type Moon characters out there, but it is what it is. So with that said, if Alco does come out next week, that'd be pretty cool. I think that would be pretty cool. How many quartz do you think we'll get this anniversary? It's hard to say because usually we get like a couple hundred in total. Especially if you're like a veteran player and you have all your servants trained, you've done all the interludes, etc., etc. So I would say probably 200 to 300 is probably like a safe ballpark. That's usually where we land as far as how many quartz we get like for anniversary. So probably around there. And if you guys are wondering, let me just... Okay, sorry Tiamat, I gotta move real quick. If you guys are wondering how many quartz and tickets I have over in JP, this is what I'm rolling with. And again, I feel like people doubt me, especially if you're like a new viewer and you don't think I'm like free to play. I pay in the game. I whale every now and then, mainly for guaranteed SRs, but for the latter part of my FGO career for the past like 3 years. I haven't been really whaling that hard. So right now I'm at 725 quartz and 31 tickets in JP. And NA a lot less, but still, you know. Well, we big chillin' because I'm not quite at pity yet. But by next week, I'm sure they're gonna give us a shit ton of quartz, and I'll be safe in the pity threshold, and we're gonna be sick nasty. Gonna be sick nasty. Is Narrowfest for NA, and 8th is JP? I'm so confused with the servers. Yeah, no, Narrowfest. That's referring to NA. See, that's what's gonna be confusing because the Aniplex USA team is also gonna be streaming the JP news, so people might be confused if they don't know what's going on. They might be like, wait, 8th anniversary? Didn't we just have 6th anniversary 2 weeks ago? So yeah. No way you've been whaling recently with all this stuff. That's true. I do have a lot of physical merch. That's true. That's true. Like figures, small plushes and stuff of that nature. Yeah, I do have a lot of physical stuff. Which honestly, I wish I did that in the beginning with FGO rather than just whale, because I feel like a lot of times when I whaled, especially back then, I usually got nothing. Like our RNG wasn't in my side back then. But when you buy physical merch, what you get, you know, what you pay is what you get. Whereas in Grand Order, a lot of times you whale and you don't even get what you want. So I kind of wish I did that back then. Yeah, Narrowfest, I don't really need QP, and based on the items that we should be getting for Narrowfest, I don't really need to farm Narrowfest. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like if they skip it altogether, which I don't think they're gonna do, but if they skip it altogether, I honestly wouldn't mind, because I kind of just want to get summer over with, just because you know, SummerCon was there. I'm on like a little bit like worried about getting her or not, but at the same time, Narrowfest does give tickets and does give me a bit more time to save quartz from logging in and whatnot. So I guess either way I'm good, but yeah. I think for the most part, I think everyone, most players do want to have Narrowfest just to recuperate from all the June and July Lostbelt 6th anniversary stuff. So that makes sense. Just be lucky. Yeah, I wish it was that easy, dog. I wish it was that easy. Buying figures of the unit is way cheaper. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I've been sick for the past week. If I cough at any point, which I feel like I said this last week, but I've literally been sick for like 2 weeks now. So if I cough or whatever randomly throughout the stream, then I apologize, because I'm still coughing. I've been drinking tea, been taking medicine. I've been doing everything right, but I'm still coughing. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. I feel like a horse dicked me down. I feel like Red Rabbit dicked me down while I was asleep. I don't know how he fit through my room and up on my bed, but he did that, and now my throat's just fucked up. But yeah. What does Narrowfest give? Because I never experienced it. Only been playing for almost 3 weeks. Ooh, I don't know. How do I explain this? Essentially, Narrowfest is what you call a lotto event. And long story short, you farm the event to get these lotto tickets. And then you trade those lotto tickets to get a shit ton of items. When I say a shit ton of items, I mean EXP cards, QP, mana prisms, ascension items, literally a little bit of everything. And then you trade in those lotto tickets to get a little bit of everything, just so you have a bunch of resources stocked up for ascensions or skills and whatnot. So it's really hard to explain it without going into detail, but essentially you just get a shit ton of stuff. Mainly people want to get QP, sometimes EXP cards if they need it, but like the main thing that people farm from lotto events are either the ascension items or the QP, if you need the ascension items. And since you've only been playing for 3 weeks, I assume you do need ascension items, EXP, and like everything essentially. So absolutely. Oh, congratulations, Rex. Yeah, that's chick nasty with the sauce. All right, well. Oh yeah, all my servers are also maxed in NA. Actually, let's go take a look at my NA account. Transitioning to NA. So the only servers I don't have trained over in, oh, it's already sorted by level. The only servers I don't have trained in JP are literally Astolfo number 1, which is Saber Astolfo, and I think Rider Astolfo is all the way down here for whatever reason. Yeah, there you go. So the only servers I don't have trained are the 2 Astolfos. That's it. Everyone else is like level capped. And that's it. And I have a lot of EXP cards, so it's like I really don't need Narrow Fest. But I understand that everyone else kind of does, so it's all good. If I have to sit through like 2-3 weeks in Narrow Fest until summer, then I'll do that, whatever. I got Fairy Boy NB2 in like 5 singles. Oh, okay, Drex, are you sure you're not a worshiper of the devil? Because it sounds like you got devil's luck. You know, there's god tier luck, and then like right above that, I would say is devil luck. But the problem with that, even though you have better luck, you sell your soul to the devil. So when you die, he claims your soul. So like that, I'm just saying, Drex, if that's what you did, then may God have mercy on your soul, because you're about to face the demon. Is leveling everyone's skills one of your future goals? No, not really. Not really. Like, okay, 10 years down the road, if this game is still going on, right, and I'm still playing, then I guess you know, if I have nothing else better to use the materials for, maybe, but fuck that. Oh, you got MP2 Oberon. Nice. Nice. Last time I checked, I forgot if you updated me, but you use all your quartz and tickets and didn't get them, and then you had to resort to whaling. So if you don't mind me asking, Alex, again, you don't have to answer this question. How much did you spend? I'm just curious, how much did you spend to get your first copy of Oberon? I don't know how you got your second copy of Oberon, but you know, I'm assuming it's from free quartz, maybe login tickets or something. If 10 years down the line, you make it sound like you change your stance on upgrading. Well, yeah, because like, let's say 10 years down the line, I have like 10,000 of every skill reinforcement item, 10,000 of every monument and whatever. You know, I might as well train everyone's skills. But see, that's like years from now, when I have that many resources. I'm not quite there yet to even think about training everyone's skills. I know some people do that because they're perfectionists in that sense. I'm a perfectionist too, but just not like that. Not on that level. You make it sound like you'll have the... I might have the QP. I might. QP is not really that big of a problem for me. Especially in JP. In JP, I've had like almost 2 billion QP for the past like year, pretty much. Like 150. You know what, Alex? That's not that bad. That's not that bad. Like, I commend you, because I'm sure there's some people who probably spent like hundreds and hundreds more to get like even MP2 Oberon. So 150, not bad. That's like what, 2 packs? 2 of the $80 pack. Well, I mean, 2 $80 would be 160. So maybe you didn't do the $80 pack. I'm not sure how you divided it, but still, that's not bad. I got worried for you for a sec. That's true. That is true, Ivan. That's unless they raise the cap. 8th anniversary, they'll raise the cap to 3 billion. The only thing that would probably like really like fuck me up is like crystallized lures, because I don't really have a lot in NA. So in JP I have a decent amount, but to 10 everyone, probably not happening. All right, Archer Blade, I smell you. Are you gonna grail them? Because I know you said a couple streams ago that you plan on grailing one of every class. Which would be sick nasty. I'm calling it. The Olga thing is 100% speculation. It's possible. I'm not totally against that, John. Also think that they might make a change to something that applies to both servers. Well, it's the whole thing of like the NA team being over there and streaming the JP news too, right? So they could do something like that, where it's an update that affects both servers. It doesn't have to be like, you know, a banner that's shared across both servers, like, you know, like quality of life stuff, you know, or a new feature that both servers could enjoy at the same time. That'd be pretty interesting. I don't know if they would do that, but again, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess. I feel like Narrow Fest should come sometime next week. I feel like that's possible. I have less than 700 million QP now. I have like almost exactly 700 million QP, I think. So I'm doing all right in QP. In NA, in JP, I'll have like 2 bill. You have 100k QP. Oh, damn, Hunter, you got to farm a bit. All right, well, how do you guys feel about, because this was like big news a couple days ago? Because when I saw this, I was like, wait, what? I thought literally, I thought they were gonna do like some kind of collaboration. Well, it is a collab, but I thought it was gonna be like an in-game thing. I was like, no fucking shot. But apparently she's just an ambassador of like FGO Fest, which some people were like speculating on. Maybe she's gonna be the anniversary. No shot she's gonna be the anniversary servant. No shot. That's not happening. Because imagine being an FGO player. You've been playing for 8 years and you're not even a fan of her. And then all of a sudden she's the 8th anniversary servant. No shot. I could see maybe months down the road they release a servant that's voiced by her, or that shares the same art as her, like the same artist designs that new servant. I could see that happening. I cannot be the ambassador for NA because 1, I'm not big enough, and 2, I cuss like a motherfucker, and they don't want anybody who's like not PG. No shot. But I mean, you know, I wouldn't mind, but you know, it probably would, unless Albert adopts me as a son, which I already fit kind of the part. You know, sometimes I wear glasses, and then I also have the beanie. He wears beanies. You know, maybe he'll adopt me. Maybe I could do that. But craft essence art, I don't think so either. I don't think I could see that happening. Well, the craft essence is a bit more believable than a playable servant. Because you got to think, there's no shot she would be the anniversary servant, because every anniversary servant we've gotten so far is pretty relevant to FGO. Besides Arcwid, but Arcwid has an exception of being very relevant in the Type Moon universe. So she's the one exception. So just to have, like, I'm not going to say a random VTuber, because she does play FGO, and she kind of blew up a couple months ago. Or maybe even last year. When she was playing Fate Grand Order. So that's probably why they picked her. Or why they asked her to be ambassador, which makes sense. Because they want to cross-pollinate the two fan bases. Again, makes sense from a business standpoint. I just don't think she's... I don't want to say big enough, because she's certainly bigger than me, right? But she's not that big of a deal in the Type Moon universe to be the anniversary servant, if that makes sense. Or like any servant to begin with. She could voice the servant later on, just like nothing for 8th anniversary. No shot. A mystic code based on her, that would be interesting, maybe, but I don't know. Ivan, that was probably just good timing. I'm not sure if like she asked for that and then they just gave it to her. I don't think that's how that worked. It was just probably just coincidental timing. The highest likelihood of being Annie's servant, with all the hints that they're dropping, probably Olga. I think Olga has the best chance. The only thing that's holding me back is that she's such a big story character that to release her for anniversary would be kind of odd, especially since they made it a big deal that you couldn't use her NP in Lostbelt 7. Unless they were saving that specifically so they could reveal it for anniversary, which would be pretty cool, pretty ballsy. But I'm interested if they do Olga, like what her ascensions will look like. If this is what they can do with Olga, if they do release her as anniversary, they could just give her a new Noble Phantasm and a new overall design, and then save her Beast Ascension or Beast costume, as well as her Beast Noble Phantasm for later on. That they could reveal later on, and then you unlock it later on for this Olga. So for the most part, it's going to be a brand new Olga. Might be Beast class, I don't know. And then later on, they could give us the actual Beast, you know, President outfit with a new Noble Phantasm and everything. But yeah. Assassin Price, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I don't know. I want the Annie servant to be, yeah. I don't know about him. I don't know about Mr. Oppenheimer. Maybe Barbie. Maybe Barbie. Yeah, I see someone right when I said that. Barbenheimer. Barbie with the with the spirit origin of the homie. No, that'd be weird. That'd be weird. Kamazatsu would be cool from Lostbelt 7. That'd be sick. They did give us a pre-campaign of banner with Moriarty and Da Vinci for some reason. It feels a little bit random, but maybe there's something relevant going on there with Moriarty. Da Vinci is a past anniversary servant, so I could see her, why they picked her, but still. Very, very weird. Very weird for Moriarty to have a rate up. See, I would rather have, like, and this might be a hot take, but I'd rather have Shinji as the anniversary servant than a VTuber. Just because Shinji is, like, very relevant. Well, not very relevant, but a lot more relevant to Type Moon than a social media influencer. I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's just me, though. I think Shinji would be pretty hype. I'm sure some people might disagree, but I think it would be pretty hype. Which one? Perseus, Lancer, or... Ooh. Because he is like a Perseus face, right? Or like Perseus is like a Shinji face, depending on how you look at it, but... That'd be cool. What if Shinji became a... Nah, dude. Nah, he would get canceled right away. He would get canceled. Shinji, as any kind of social media influencer, he would be canceled so fast. Medusa just said that because she was being petty. Well, the connection is there, so you know that they say in the Fate world that jokes are the best lore, and if she said that as a joke, that's probably indicative of future lore. Yeah, that extra remake. It's been 3 years since they announced that, right? And they still haven't talked about it in any detail so far, ever since this announcement. If it's extra Shinji, then I'm fine with it. That's true. Extra Shinji is a lot more of a bro than normal timeline Shinji, I guess you could call him. That'd be sick nasty. I could see the anniversary servant being a Fate Strange Fake servant, just because Fate Strange Fake just came out. So I could see the anniversary servant maybe being like Richard or something, but at the same time, they would probably release Richard for an actual Strange Fake event or celebration or something. So... I mean, there is a likelihood the new Annie servant could be later story relevant, like Castoria. Nothing is really out of the... Well, the thing about Castoria is, as her name implies, she's an Arturia face. If they just release a brand spanking new character with no prior connection or relevance to the story or other characters, then I don't think that would be fitting for Anniversary, because Anniversary is supposed to be a celebration of the past couple of years of Fate Grand Order, of its story, and of its characters and whatnot. Castoria makes sense because she's an Arturia face. It just makes sense. Had Castoria been like just a random schmuck, I don't think people would be as hyped. I think people would still roll because she's still a great character as far as like gameplay wise, but still. Avenger that would be cool. Heracles from it's kind of a spoiler for people who don't know Strange Fake, but Heracles does have another spirit origin or class in Strange Fake, but we will see that when we get there. No, Arjuna and Karna were New Year's, I think. I think they were New Year's, if I'm not mistaken. Which it's still make, because Karna even back then was still very popular because of Fate Extra. So, and Arjuna being his brother, just by proxy makes him fairly popular as well. So even if they were anniversary servants, it just makes more sense than like brand spanking new character. And when I say a brand new character, I just don't mean like a brand new character to FGO. I mean a brand new character, just Type Moon in general. Because at least Arcuid has like very deep ties with the Nasuverse, just because she's like the main heroine of Tsukihime, which is like very popular in like the visual novel like community, I guess. What if it's 5-star Archer Amiya? No shot. I mean, another Amiya would be cool. I'm not gonna lie. I will say this, Archer Blades, and you're gonna be happy to hear me say this, because it does pain me. It does hurt my pride a little bit to say this, but I'm an honest man, so I'm gonna be honest right now, as I always am. Oh, thank you, Maikita, for the. I don't know what that currency is. I'm uncultured, but thank you for that donation. But yeah, I'm excited for that fight too. But Archer Blades, if you're still listening, after reading Lostbelt 6, I have a better appreciation for Muramasa. I'm not saying I love him or that I wanna suck his dick or anything, but I think he's a pretty cool guy. I think he's a pretty cool guy. All things considered, he's a pretty cool dude. So I'm sure you're happy to hear me say that, because I remember years ago I used to rip on him, and I still rip on Emiya every now and then, but it's all jokes. But I have to give the man his flowers, bro. Muramasa is pretty good character. All right. What if it's Solomon? That'd be pretty sick, nasty flex with the sauce for sure. Yo, Ort? Yeah, Ort would be an interesting, like, I know we got Kukulkan, but yeah, Ort would be interesting. But no shot. No shot. That'd be cool though. Oh, yeah, that's another thing we gotta think about. Are we finally gonna get the quick savior that we need? Because last year everyone was like, "Oh, Scotty Summer, that might be the quick savior," and then she's just another Scotty in the, like, mechanically pretty much the same. Besides NP, does Ort talk at all? To my knowledge, no. To my knowledge, no. See, okay, Ivan, I get what you mean. Your latter part. Again, spoilers for Lostbelt 6 if you haven't read it. But with Morgan dying the way she did, I think that was intentional. Because the whole first half, or the first, like, third of the story is building up to this Morgan fight. And we finally get to fight her, just like every other Lostbelt King that we fought so far. We finally fight her, and we destroy her. At least we think we destroy her. And she disappears. And then even within the cutscene, we're like, wait, we already won? That didn't felt that bad at all. I mean, it was difficult, but we're like, that didn't even feel climactic at all. And then she appears out of nowhere, and then she reveals she actually cloned herself, and like, we just defeated one of her clones. And then that subverts expectations in that sense. But then she dies off screen, and that subverts expectations again. Because we're like, wait, what? Okay. So I think it was intentional the way they told that story. Because every other Lostbelt King was like the same thing. Like, we build up to the fight, we fight them, we win, kumbaya, everyone's happy. But Lostbelt 6 is very different in a lot of ways. That's just one of the reasons why it was very different. That's why I was cool with it. The way, well, okay, I'm not gonna say I'm happy that she died the way she did. But I think the storytelling benefited a lot more with the way she died, rather than it being us dealing the finishing blow and being this whole climactic thing. Because in reality, she's not the final boss. She's the Lostbelt King, but she's not the final big bad of the Lostbelt, as it's revealed later on, as some of you guys should know, or all of you guys should know. And I think Lostbelt 7 does things differently as well. Like, the Lostbelt King there, like, without even spoiling anything, is different, and the way they handle the Lostbelt King there is different as well. Because after like 5 times in a row with all the Lostbelts prior to that, just being the same mold, like building up, we fight the Lostbelt King, we win, we cut down the tree, boom, that's it. You know, it's like, it gets kind of repetitive. Yo, Ivan, you with the, that's a hot take, by the way, because I think everyone appreciates Morgan a lot after reading the story, but you know, that's all well and good. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I actually do see where you're coming from, though. What makes a Lostbelt King? The ruler of a Lostbelt, I guess. I mean, that sounds like a smart-ass answer, but that's kind of it. Honestly, it's Avenger Herc. Won't lose my mind, not completely. No shot. I mean, that'd be cool to get Avenger Herc, but the fact that we haven't gotten there yet in Strange Fake in the anime, so I don't think they're gonna do that. That's why I could see it being Richard if we're gonna get a Strange Fate character. Oh, and I also wanted to talk about the anniversary craft essences, the 4-star ones. So I was gonna pick initially, I was gonna pick the Ibuki one and the Kama one for sure, no questions asked. Then the other night they revealed this, Yang has a anniversary craft test, and I'm like, fuck. Well, I'm gonna have to pick the Yang one because we get to pick 2, as usual. So I'll probably pick Yang and probably Ibuki. I want to pick Kama so badly, but I love Ibuki so much. And obviously Yang's design's just S tier, and she also includes some of the other foreigners with her. So I gotta pick her. So I'm sorry, Kama, as beautiful as you are, I can't do it. I can't do it. It sucks for me, but I can't do it. So question, did Nakarina have it coming? She admitted she did those things during coronation. I think, I wouldn't say she had it coming, but it definitely didn't hurt her case that she did admit to some of the things that she was being accused of. And I also think it was like the fairies were blowing it out of proportion. So yeah. Yang looks so close to Ina. I mean, it's the same artist. Yeah, no, they made her extra thick. Especially in the thigh area. Like, what's going on there, though? What's going on there? So I'm probably gonna pick Yang and Ibuki. Ibuki with the office outfit. Can't lose, bro. Can't lose. Yeah, the CE lineup is pretty busted. It's pretty good. I mean, Sei's tempting as well. Tilalak, not bad. Not bad. Proto Merlin, of course. Proto Merlin looks nice. With NA streaming with JP Anniversary, you think that if NA's servant is Olga, you think that NA could get Lostbelt 7 quicker? No. I think... I don't think at any point will NA speed up to catch up to JP in any capacity. I don't think it's the right move at all if they were to try to do that. I get it that there's going to be a lot of dead months and dead weeks next year. But I'd rather they just stick to the schedule as it's supposed to rather than like speed everything up. I don't want them to speed anything up at all. But I guess we'll see. I mean, we did get Olympus. Yeah, we did. Some things we get a little bit earlier. Like maybe a couple weeks, maybe a month earlier. Because that's just the way it just works. I guess with everything, like the schedule, how it's spaced out and whatnot. And because our anniversary is technically a month earlier than JP. So some things will be pushed a little bit earlier. But I don't see us getting Lostbelt 7 like mid next year, for example. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think at the earliest we might see Lostbelt 7 at November. At the earliest. I don't see them pushing, or I guess pooling Lostbelt 7 any earlier than November. No shot that's happening. A merge would be interesting. I don't know if they do that either. Like if they announce, yeah, so JP, you can now change the language to English. And in the NA game, you can change the language to JP. And now NA is going to be caught up with you. Like, nah, no shot they're going to do that. That'd be insane. That'd be really... At that point, why even play both games? Like, I'll be like, fuck, now I got to pick one or the other. Do I pick the NA game that's been treating me, like, pretty well for the past couple months? Or do I pick JP where I have a lot more investment in? So it's like, fuck. Or I just keep both at that point. Were you Aurora's feet, Mike, and Coral? Yeah, I was. I was changing my name for the past couple of weeks, pretty much. A server merge would be interesting now. I'll pick NA for my NP5 girls. That's fair. That's fair, Ivan. I'll probably still keep both. I wonder if any JP players play NA for that sweet future vision we have. It's possible. I mean, you gotta think. There's NA players that play JP. So the reverse is definitely possible. Another FGO arcades? Nah, no shot. Because I think they have stated a couple months ago that they don't plan on releasing any new, brand new characters for FGO arcade. Probably new costumes and stuff of that nature, but like a brand new character or like a character that hasn't been introduced yet to arcade, probably not. All right, well, let's see. By the way, again, thank you to Mike Kita for donating $2. Now that I see it on the side, your currency translated to $2.23. So sick nasty with the sauce. So again, probably gonna pick Ibuki and then the Yang Craft Essence because Yang looking good. So like I said earlier, I want to do a Lostbelt 6 character tier list. NPCs included. Most NPCs. Some NPCs like Portune is in here. And I don't see Hope, which we could just like... For Hope, I think she's a bit more important than Portune. So I will include her here just like... Even though she's not here physically. We could talk about her later. So if you guys have not read Lostbelt 6... Then spoilers, like big spoilers, because we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. Who's the most anticipated? I have no idea. Yeah, the Yang art is fire. It is fire. So we're gonna go from best, great, good, meh, bad, and then bottom of the barrel. Thanks for spoiling me. You don't have to stick for the stream if you don't get spoiled, because Lostbelt 6 is a long story, so I don't even blame you guys if you guys haven't. I just got past part 2. Yeah, okay, so I just want to give that quick disclaimer. That quick disclaimer just in case you have not finished the story. Otherwise, like this stream and maybe this segment will be uploaded as a separate video. So if after you're done reading the story, if you want to come back and then judge my, or I guess our tiers, then yeah. And if you don't mind spoilers, then stick around. I finally have a Buster team because I got Coin Sky too, but I used Gong with her as a little punishment. Okay. Okay, I smell you, dog. I smell you. Alright, so we're going to start with the NPC characters. And we're going to go from, like, least important, I guess, to most important. I mean, I kind of organized things that way, but not really. So we're going to start with... I think this is Winky with the Goblin Brothers. So we're going to start with Winky. I think this is Wag and then Rob. So we're going to start with the Goblin Bros first. So I'm not going to put them all in the same tier because one of them sucks. The other two are great, but one of them is ass. So we're going to start with Winky, the one that, again, spoiler alert, but this fucker sold us out to Beryl early on in the story. Or I guess not us out, but sold Mashu and by extension her brothers out and the whole city. So he's kind of a dick. So automatically he's probably at least bad. I would even make the argument for bottom of the barrel because he didn't have to do that to his brothers, but he did. So he's a piece of shit. So he really, and he got what he deserved. Because after he sold us out, or sold Masha out, Beryl was like, hey, you're gonna tell me more about this child of prophecy, right? And then it's kind of insinuated that Beryl fucked him up. So again, snitches get stitches, and he was a snitch, and he got a bit more than stitches. I mean, that's how it works in Fey Britain, bro. Like, you know, it's a little bit worse for you. So I would say he's bottom of the barrel, but I could also see the argument for bad. So I guess I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Should he be bottom or should he be bad? Because is he that bad to be bottom of the barrel, or is he just bad? I'm not sure. Bad. What if JP and NA get dual celebration for... I mean, they'll talk about Strange Freak and Samurai Remnant and other stuff, I'm sure, but... Okay, I think most people agree probably bad. Yeah, I think bad makes sense. Bottom makes sense as well, so I could roll with either one of them. I would say he's bad too. But bottom of the barrel, I can understand. Alright, next one. We're gonna take our time with this, by the way, so, you know, buckle up, get your popcorn and whatnot. Next one, I think this is Wag, and then the next one's Rob. But I think everyone will agree they probably belong together. Just because of how things went down in the story. And because they both have the same moral compass, I feel like. So wherever one goes, the other one will go. So they are at least good. I hesitate to say great. They're definitely not, I wouldn't say best. So it's between good and great, in my opinion. Yeah, because they initially, when the Goblin Brothers, I remember a couple years ago when they were revealed to have gotten Mashu and are planning on selling her. I remember a lot of people a couple years ago were like, "Oh man, I've seen Goblin Slayer. I know where this is going." But again, it's like subverting expectations. That's what a lot of this Lostbelt is. You know, we see these goblins and we think right away that they're dicks, that they're gonna do things to Mashi that we would never would want for her. But initially, they were just gonna sell her. But as their adventure prolongs, they actually grow to like her, and then she saves their lives, and then later on, they save her life. So they get a sort of redemption arc. So I would say they're good. They're pretty good. Even though initially their intentions weren't pure, they still, you know, they still pulled through in the end. So they're at least good. They could be great, but I think good makes sense. Well, I came into the stream in the weirdest time. Again, Lostbelt 6 spoilers, like big Lostbelt 6 spoilers. Woodrose should have clapped Aurora. He wanted to clap her, but you know, she was not feeling that clapping. She just wanted people to praise her. It's going all right, Emilio. I still have a little bit of a cough, but I should be fine. They were going to sell Mash until they found out she was built different. That's true. That's true. They found out she was built alternatively, assembled in a unique fashion. So they were like, you know what? She's actually pretty cool. So I think good is fine. Okay, next one is actually one of my, like, unironically one of my favorite characters, just because I don't know. Just him simping over Da Vinci. It's kind of funny. What's his tier list for? Oh, this is the Lostbelt 6 characters. So, yeah. This is the Lostbelt 6 characters. NPCs included. Servants. Spoilers alert. Although, Brandon, I know you play JP. You already know the story, so whatever. So where does Mike go? Because initially, when we meet Mike, he just seems to be like an innocent, ignorant fairy. And he's learning things from Da Vinci. But then as the story progresses and we get more and more information of how fairies work and their true nature, his infatuation with Da Vinci starts to get a bit more on the creepy side. And then towards the end, when he's alone with Da Vinci and he wants her to stay, he almost gives in. He almost becomes a Morse and almost becomes a monster. But then he lets her go. So he resists his own urges to keep her around, because he understands, even as a fairy, that the correct thing to do is to let her go, even though he wants her to stay. So I don't know where to put him, because if he gave into his nature, he would easily be bad. But because he didn't, he cannot be bad. So he might be meh, maybe even good, because he's one of the only fairies that went against his nature, which is interesting. I guess meh, because it's not like he did anything, like, it's not like he saved anyone's lives or was like a turning point in the story. He just resisted doing anything bad, I guess. So I think meh makes the most sense with him, which kind of hurts me a little bit, you know. He was kind of a homie. He gave us a place to stay, you know. He was very welcoming. You know, he just had a strange infatuation with Da Vinci, you know. Honestly, Mike for 8th anniversary, I would not mind. Let's be honest. If next week they decided to release a new 5-star servant like they usually do with anniversary, and it's revealed to be Mike, and his whole kit is built for supporting Da Vinci, I honestly would probably roll, just because that's fucking hilarious. Although after I'm done laughing, I'd probably be like, damn, this anniversary sucks ass. But I honestly probably would still roll. It would be kind of funny. It would be a little bit funny. 8th anniversary 5-star Bogart. Bogart's NP, he summons all 60 of his wives. And all 60 of his wives just attack. That'd be pretty interesting. Alright, well, the next one is indeed Bogart. So Bogart he's interesting, because when we first get to know him, as in Mashi's perspective, he he forces a marriage upon Mashi. And then he tries to get in bed with her, which doesn't end well for him, because he just gets yeeted out of the window. Which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Which I understand. I get it. It is kind of fucked. And then later on, he does go on a crazy power spree, I guess, with the whole black barrel and like destroying his city and whatnot. But then when he's dying, we get to know more of his, you know, inner nature, I guess, and what he really wants, and he just wants to go back home. So I wouldn't say he might even be bad, but he might even be just meh. Cause I think he's good. Deep inside, he's good, but he just goes about certain shit or like a lot of things in a bad way. What's the honest thought on anniversary Olga? I think Olga's like, I'm 60% on boat with that. I'm 60% on boat with that. Keep in mind, wherever you put Bogart, Woodrose is automatically ranked above him off story relevance. I agree. I agree, though. I agree. He was meh most of the time, but good at the end. Yeah. I think I agree with that. I don't know if I... Would I... Because if I put him here, I'm putting him in the same tier as Wag and Rob, which I don't think he is. So I think meh makes sense. Because it... Yeah, I'd say meh. I'd say meh. I feel like if you make the argument for good, I would be down for that, but I think meh makes the most sense. Woodrose is a stupid mongrel. Nah, dude, wait. Okay, so we're going on to Woodrose. So, okay, so let me just paint a picture for you guys, because I think Woodrose is a fucking G. So think about this. Put his character aside and personality aside. He gets fucking bodied. No, at first he was bodying us. He was destroying all of us. Percival, me, Castoria, everyone. Everyone was getting clapped by the homie Woodrose. And then of course, Gareth comes in with the clutch. Percival pierces him. He gets fucked up. He's presumably dead. But then it's revealed later on he's not dead. Beryl comes out of the woodwork, right? And then fucks him up even further. Him and Tristan. They fuck Woodrose harder than we fucked him. So now he should be dead, right? But no, he's not fucking dead. He got his organs eaten. He got his shit pierced. He has an unhealable wound. But he's still fine. Somehow he's still walking amongst us. Then he gets kind of not really rescued, but he finds refuge with Aurora, and then Aurora manipulates him. We'll get to Aurora in a bit. But Aurora manipulates the fuck out of Woodrose. And still wounded, he goes all the way to Morgan, climbs the castle and everything, confronts Morgan, and without sugarcoating it, he beats the fuck out of Morgan. He beats the shit out of her. Now, okay, he doesn't kill her. I'm not gonna say he kills her. But he makes her bleed, which is more than what we've ever done. And effectively injures her. Doesn't kill her, but does at least injures her. While he only has like 5% of his power at all. Granted, it was a cheap shot. You know, she didn't expect it. We get it. And it was out of frustration, out of anger, and misplaced anger, I should say. And then when he realizes that he's been manipulated pretty much the entire time, he becomes a Morse, but he just lets himself disappear. He doesn't stick around as a Morse. And he kind of accepts his fate. So, I think personality and story aside, he's kind of a badass. He's a freaking badass. The fact that he's able to do that, bro, like, I'm just like, yo, I wouldn't mind having him as a servant, dude. He'd be dummy OP with the sauce. But he does get manipulated from left, right, and center. And he does, his loyalty to Morgan does waver a lot throughout the story, which is what leads to his downfall and ultimately Morgan's downfall. So, in that sense, he is a piece of shit. But you gotta look at the positives too. He tried to Because the whole thing with the Fang Clan, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they were so violent. Well, I mean, they're revealed to be very violent. In fact, like, they killed most of the Wing Clan, if I'm not mistaken, which is why Murian's so pissed at them, but that's besides the point. That Woodrose, as their head, he tried to put them, you know, he tried to fix them. He tried to fix his whole clan, their whole nature, by opening up all these restaurants and whatnot. So he was self-aware to the point that he tried to help. He tried to help himself and the rest of his clan. It didn't really work, but he tried. So, in the end of the day, he did get manipulated, so... See, I like Woodrose, though. I like them. It's just he got manipulated so hard that I feel like I could see why people would put him at bad, for example. I would say he's okay. I would say he's good, but like barely. He's barely there. He's not. If there was a tier between good and meh, that's where he would be. But we're not gonna add more tiers, at least right now. Yeah, manipulation aside, he's a good character. In my opinion, he's a good character. Cause I felt bad for him a little bit. I was like, damn, that sucks. Cause he did have a very, like, his loyalty for Morgan was really strong. It's just a lot of things were piling up against him. That I feel like if we were in his position, we would probably be in the same boat. Like, we would end up the same way. So we gotta be a little bit understanding of the homie Woodrose. We gotta be a little bit understanding. If it wasn't for all the, you know, the Auroras and the Oberons playing him and the Barrels and whatnot playing him in the back, he would be fine. He switches sides faster than Suzaku from Code Geass. Nah, don't compare him to Suzaku. Fuck Suzaku. Don't do that. Don't do that. He was a simp for the wrong fairy. That's true. That's true. Oh, once we get to Aurora, you guys will be pissed with me. Oh, we'll get there. We're close. We're close, because the one up next, Woodrose wouldn't let us pet him. That's true. I mean, Morgan did pet him at the end, so, you know, he got a little bit of a cheek rub, and that made him feel better. But the next one is Coral. I think Coral, when we first meet her, if I'm not mistaken, again, correct me if I'm wrong with anything. When we first meet her, we get the impression that she's kind of a bitch. Let's just put it bluntly. She's very, I guess, discriminatory towards humans. But she does reveal a bit later that she does care for humans overall. Like, she may not, like, completely understand human nature, but she understands us enough to accommodate us, even if she's a little bit pushy about it. And she's kind of a tsundere in that sense. She's kind of a tsundere. She just does not have... She has the best intentions in mind, but she doesn't put the best foot forward, kind of thing. Yeah, she's earnest. She tries, yeah. And at least I feel like she does all of the heavy lifting for Aurora. I feel like Aurora just stays there in the background. Like, for the most part, Aurora's just in her room, big chillin'. Whereas Coral seems to be the one organizing everything, making sure the city is ran perfectly and whatnot. She is a caterpillar. Oh, shit. There's spoiler, no spoiler. Yeah, I mean, Coral's definitely not great. I wouldn't put her at great or even best, obviously. So she's definitely between good and meh. I feel like if towards the end she tried to help us directly, maybe met up with Fujimaru and the rest of the gang separately, like independent of Aurora, and then they did more with their character like that. Again, this Lostbelt's extremely long, so I highly doubt they could have fit more character development for Coral. But I feel like if they had more with her, more cutscenes with her in it towards the end, I think she would have been great. But with what we've seen, I think she's good. She's okay. She's probably in the same realm with Woodrose, where given a bit more character development, they probably would have been a great character. But right now, I would say she's a good character. By the way, originally, I just want to say this. Originally, Nasu wanted Aurora and Melusine to be a romantic relationship. So just let that sink in for a sec. Because in the story, it's portrayed more so of a mother and daughter relationship. But originally, it was supposed to be a romantic. So it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. That's true. Or Coral did try to give us like a fair trial to see if we actually did have anything to do with Nakadaraha's assassination. But Aurora's guard just wanted to kill us. So at least Coral is fair. If anything, she's a very fair character. Very logical and very fair. Yeah, that's exactly Ver. She did blindly follow Aurora for the most part. At least towards the end, she started to waver a little bit. Then she got fucked. Oh yeah, Hunter. Hope isn't here for some reason. I will include her, like, towards the end if we have to. But for some reason they didn't include her here. I didn't make this tier list, but she's not here for some reason. Well, we'll include her in spirit, I guess. All right, the next one is probably everyone's most hated character from this Lostbelt, which is crazy to me. And that is Aurora. I already know everyone's gonna... I'm just gonna put her here already, just because everyone's gonna agree to put her there. But I'm gonna let everyone duke it out a little bit. I'm gonna let everyone duke it out a little bit before I get into my thoughts. Because I posted a poll last week asking you guys, who do you hate more from Lostbelt 6? Beryl, Gut, or Aurora? And I believe the percentage of votes was around 30% for Beryl. So 30% of votes went to Beryl. And then almost 70% of votes went to Aurora. So a lot more people hated Aurora. So... Yeah. It seems that most people hate her a lot. Now, I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and you guys will either reaffirm what I just said, or correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? So again, we're gonna take this slow with Aurora, because she's probably the most controversial character in this whole thing. But you guys hate her because she's manipulative, selfish. And what else? She's a liar, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there's more to it, but those are essentially the qualities that you hate about her. Is that she's hella manipulative, she's selfish, a narcissist, I guess that's another word, and you know, stuff of that nature, right? Yeah? So just reaffirm what I said, or correct me if I'm wrong. The bitch is just plain stupid. I mean, I agree. She's a little bit stupid towards the end. Because if that's... Because guess what? Aurora is the type of manipulator that is easier to encounter in the real world, so she connects more personally. Okay, I could kind of see where that's coming from. Oh, my game just crashed. It doesn't matter. We're not even playing the game, but I'll reopen the game, I guess, just to have music in the background. No, so you can't write a villain death. They just... I will say Aurora's death was kind of weird, the way they handled it, but we could talk about that more later. Okay, so the thing about people hating on Aurora, and again, I'm not saying I love her or anything. I'm not saying she's my favorite character of all fucking time. I'm just saying a lot of the reasons people hate Aurora is the same reasons people like Oberon. Think about that for a sec. Oberon pulled all the strings. He technically pulled the strings for Aurora too. So he's kind of the root of everything that happened. For a lot of it that happened. So just think about that. If you like Oberon but you hate Aurora, that's kind of weird. That's a little bit weird. Granted, Oberon doesn't have the narcissistic side of everything, and he's a bit more self, I guess, aware. Whereas Aurora is just like, she just does not understand why she's a fucked up character. But still, at the core, they're both manipulative liars. But people like Oberon more than Aurora, which to me, I think that's a little bit weird. That's a little bit weird. So again, I'm not gonna move her from the tier she's at. But I'm just saying it's a little bit weird to like Oberon more, or a lot more, when he's technically a bigger piece. Technically a bigger piece of shit than Aurora. Technically. And see okay, Hunter, you said she's evil. See, the problem with that line of logic is Aurora's a fairy, and everyone agrees. You and me, we both agree that fairies are fucked up. Like, they're a fucked up species. They're a fucked up race. As a whole, not even just Aurora. Just the whole fairy culture and everything about them is fucked. But that's where we cannot really apply human logic and human ethics to it. Because the comparison I made with my post the other day is that if you take a serial killer, right? You take a serial killer and you have that serial killer destroy the fuck out of somebody, maul them to death as brutally as possible. And all of us could look at that serial killer as a fellow human and be like, you're a fucked up individual. You're not right in the head. You're evil. You're as evil as they come. And I would agree with you on that. Everyone would agree with that. Now, if we take that same serial killer, replace that serial killer with, let's say, a lion, just a wild lion, and that lion also mauled somebody to death in the same fashion, is that lion evil now? In the same way that that serial killer is evil? The answer is easily no, unless you're just blinded by hate. The answer is no, because it's in that lion's nature to fuck somebody up if they feel threatened by it, or if they're hungry, or whatever the case may be. It's in their nature, is what I'm trying to say. So Aurora, it's in her nature to be a narcissistic piece of shit. You know, you can't apply human logic and human morals to it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Aurora is the best character ever. I'm just saying I think the hate for her is a bit too exaggerated, because I think Oberon in a lot of cases is a lot worse than her. And she does have the benefit of the doubt of being a fairy and not a fucking human. And humans are pieces of shit too, but you know. No, that's true. Some fairies were shown to be good, but I think just by their nature, they're more inclined to do fuck shit without realizing that they're doing fucked up shit. If that makes sense. It's because wasn't it like a thing in the fairy, I guess, world, or fairy Britain, that every fairy has like a purpose or like a meaning, and if they don't follow that meaning or purpose, they end up either dying or losing their name or becoming a Morse. It just so happens that Aurora's meaning was being beloved by everybody, which directly contradicts like our culture as humans. We look at those type of people and we're like, yeah, no, they're not, they're evil, they're pieces of shit. So it just so happens her very nature, her very purpose on this planet is being a narcissistic piece of shit. So I mean, I don't know, I feel like she gets a lot of hate for good reasons, but I think they're a bit exaggerated, a little bit. She's kind of a prisoner of her own nature as a fairy. That's all. Again, she's a shit. I don't like her either, and I'll still put her bottom of the barrel. But still, I personally think Beryl is worse. For me, she's worse, or he's worse, not her. But yeah. Yo, Ivan, when we get to Morgan, I need you to come in full throttle, because I see where you're coming from with Morgan. I see where you're coming from with Morgan. All right, well, I think we talked enough about Aurora. I think bottom of the barrel makes sense. I get it. All I'm saying is like just be a bit more understanding, you know? Just be a bit more understanding. Morgan gets away with so much just because okay, yeah, Ivan, I'm gonna need you to pull through later. Because I don't want to be the only one that's being like a contrarian here. I need somebody else to come in here with some hella logic. Alright, so the next one is Spriggan. I think this one will go a bit quicker. Spriggan. So he's actually human, if you guys didn't know that. He's not actually a fairy. That's like a big part of his character. So he was one of the people in the back who conspired against Morgan, but after that he wasn't with Aurora when Aurora conspired against Nakanaraiha. Like he was actually surprised when that happened, so he wasn't part of that. So I wouldn't say he's as bad as Aurora. He definitely isn't as bad. I feel like if anything he's like neutral. As long his art is fine and as long as vault was okay, he didn't really give a fuck about what happens everywhere else, which in itself is kind of evil and selfish, but he himself never did anything to like fuck us over, for example. I feel like not really. Yeah, he just stayed in, like he died, right? If I'm not mistaken, he just kind of died. Yeah, he's a politician, exactly. Like he's just a politician. He brought that human nature to the table that the fairies didn't really know how to deal with that. Yeah, he's an opportunist. I think in some way he's kind of in some ways admirable for what he did. He went pretty far in Fey Britain. He was just a random human who got isekai'd into this whole new world with a whole new culture and like different like rules and laws and cities and whatnot, but he somehow made it to become one of the heads of one of the clans. Granted, he lied and manipulated his way to the top, but still, like, I mean, that's a kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Not saying he's a good character, but I mean, I think narratively speaking he's probably a good character, but you know, he's at least bad, right? He's at least bad to maybe meh. Because again, he's pretty neutral. How the heck did he get transported to... I'll be honest, I have no idea either. He just... Because wasn't he visiting London? He was at London in like the early 1900s. And he just found himself in Fey Britain somehow, so... He took out Morgan so easily. Alright, I wouldn't say easily, but... You know, it took a couple of 100 years, but yeah. Was him being human actually story relevant? I think thematically probably, because I mean, because he was a piece of shit in his own way. I don't know. I guess if he was never revealed to be a human, it wouldn't change the story that drastically. I don't know. I feel like he's one of those characters who was just kind of there. Like, imagine the story without him if they just plucked him out of it. I don't think the story would change that drastically. Yeah, I guess thematically it's just to show that, like, humans are not so far different from, like, fairies. From, like, a manipulative and, like, evil standpoint. I guess. Yeah, that's how he was able to live for like an additional 100 years because he got some fairy parts built into him, I guess. But yeah, I guess bad is fine. I might even say mad, but yeah, I guess bad is alright. Bad is alright. I think Winky's worse, so I'll just put Winky right there. Alright, so next one is Murian. Or Kalzura Drop, but she doesn't go by Kalzura Drop at all. She's just Murian. So, I don't know. Admittedly, I don't know a lot about Kalzura Drop, aside from the fact that apparently she's similar to Murian in the sense that she exhibits a lot of psychotic behavior, I guess. And she's very sadistic. But Miriam, at least in Miriam's case, it's revealed later that she actually doesn't really enjoy torturing the Fang clan. She's like, why do you guys enjoy this? This actually kind of sucks. Like, I don't feel better about this. And she only just did it out of revenge, but she found herself like not enjoying it as much as she thought she was. So I actually don't think she's as sadistic as Kazura Drop. I could be wrong. Again, I don't know much about Kazura Drop, but yeah. She was planning on betraying us later, but then she got killed by, spoiler alert, by Oberon. So yeah, I don't know. I think man makes sense. Again, everyone here is just like manipulative as fuck, so it's like hard for me to like weigh who's worse as a manipulator and who's not. Yeah, but the difference is Miriam later kind of not regrets it, but she finds herself kind of bored, I guess, or like she doesn't feel fulfilled after she was done torturing the Fang clan. She was like, "Wow, this feels disgusting. I don't even know why I did that." Whereas I feel like Kazura Drop just does, like, she'll always enjoy torturing people, right? Again, I might be mistaken. I might be mistaken. Like, it's a slight difference, but it's a difference nonetheless. Yeah, killing the Fang clan was dumb as fuck. And the only race, besides I guess humans, but I mean the only race that was like immune to the Morse, or like not immune, but like had a strong resistance against the Morse. Yeah, okay, she does it to Hakuno, but like again, does she enjoy it all the way through, or at some point after torturing Hakuno, she's like, you know what, this is kind of disgusting, let me free you? Did she do that? Because with the Fang clan, Miriam later, even though they were already dead, she was like, yeah, no, this is like not my thing at all. I don't really like torturing you guys, even though you guys are already dead. It's almost like she regretted it. She enjoys it all the way. Okay, see, there you go. So Kazura Drop enjoys it all the, like, no regrets. No regrets at all. If it wasn't for her thirst for revenge, she would be a good clan leader. Probably, yeah. I mean, she did kind of strive for equality. Like, her whole area made it so, like, nobody could be stronger than anyone else. Everyone's kind of equal. So I think man makes sense. So I'll be honest, Koinskaya being here kind of doesn't make sense because she plays a bigger role later. But given her role in the story, not looking at the previous Lost Belts or Lost Belts after or storylines after, just looking within this Lost Belt, she does pull through later, which I was surprised because I don't think they dived too much into the friendship between Koinskaya and Miriam too much. Because the entire time I thought one was gonna backstab the other. Specifically, Koinskaya was gonna backstab Miriam. But when Miriam was dying, and then Koinskaya found her, Koinskaya actually pulled through with her end of the bargain, kind of, where like Miriam was like, protect Britain, help protect Britain, etc. And then Koinskaya actually went and, you know, protected us, who in turn tried our best to protect Britain, and then we didn't really protect Britain. Everyone still got fucked, but still, Koinskaya still kept her end of the promise, I guess. So within the story itself, I would say she's maybe good. Maybe, just not looking at previous stories or stories afterwards, I would say she's good. Yeah, and she did get all the curses from, well, not all of it, but a lot of the curses from Carnunos onto herself. So she actually took a big L by helping us, but she helped us nonetheless. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, she did go to Lostbelt originally for some Albion DNA or something, but she still stuck around with Miriam, which again, I did not really understand their relationship like that. Like it was not really dived like into too much. But you know, she still helped the homies out. She has honor in that regard. And sometimes even evil characters, if evil characters have honor, like that's something that we should commend, you know. All right, the next one, I'm kind of indifferent about her, but I'll see what you guys think. So what about Naraha? Again, I think it's Naknaria. That's how to pronounce her name. But the whole time me and my girlfriend were reading it, because they say her full name the entire time, and I'm like, why do you need to say her full name? But whatever. Me and my girlfriend were just like Naknaraha. So fake Meb. Where do we put fake Meb? Thank you, Rafa Arella, for subscribing. Love the girl. Okay. Okay. Good. Great. Okay. Well, my thoughts. My thoughts on Naknara. So I actually don't know. Besides the fact that Meb is horny all the time, I don't know too much of her character. So comparing Naknaraha to Meb, I can't really do that. So just looking at Naknaraha as just a normal character, as just like a standalone character, I thought she was okay. She was okay. I think she definitely had good intentions for Britain, right? I think she's definitely one of the characters who probably would have been a decent ruler, a decent queen. But I don't know. I'm sort of indifferent about her. Even during her dying scene, I felt a little bit bad, but at the same time, with somebody of her status and her knowledge of the past and whatnot, she kind of should have expected that she was about to get fucked up. Because the same thing happened to Uther, right? Thousands of years ago. And I feel like with her, she should know better than... She took the poison, right? She drank the poison, and she knew right away it was poison. But she was like, I got the protection of my clan, so like whatever. Like this poison won't affect me. And that's kind of what was her downfall, because she took the poison knowing it was poison, but she thought she could tank that shit. But after her own clan betrayed her, it didn't really work out the way it was supposed to. She sacrificed herself for us? I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think she sacrificed herself for us, or she sacrificed herself at all. She didn't expect to die. She wasn't expecting that. At least, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it was intentional. See, if I was her, I would have just sat my ass on the throne. Fuck the whole coronation at Salisbury. That's just me. I would have just sat my ass on the throne. She should have had Spriggan or someone else drink it first. Yeah, that's true. Because don't a lot of, like, I don't know if they do that nowadays with, like, you know, the Secret Service with, like, the president or whatever. But I know back in the day, for, like, thousands of years, typically rulers and high-ranking officers would have somebody else on the side drink and eat their beverages and food for them first, just to check if they're poisoned. So I find it weird that somebody of like her status didn't do that. But again, that's human history versus Fae history. But again, same thing happened to Uther Pendragon. She should have known. But I guess not. I would say I would put her at good, because she's definitely a better, like morally a better character than Koinskaya. Probably better than Coral. Definitely, I would say better than Woodrose. Is she great though? I don't know. I'll put her here because she's good. Is she great though? I don't know. Yeah, she fucked around and found out. She fucked around hard and found out. Yeah, she did help. Oh man, it's so difficult for me to rate her because I don't know. I thought she was okay. I thought she was okay. So that's a great friend with. That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. As a rival for Kasuria, because in life, just in general, if you have a good rival with you, that's gonna push you further with your goals and whatnot, right? You know, okay, I'll put her at great. I'll put her at great for now. I'll do that. I'll do that. That makes sense. That makes sense. I just needed that last push to be like, okay, you know what? That makes sense. Yeah. I would say she's great. I would say she's great. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, next one. I think everyone's gonna agree where to put this man, right? Scandinavia Pepperoncino or Pepe. Y'all already know where we should put him, right? Yeah, y'all should already know where we should put him, right? It's not even a question. It's not even a question. Although, Ivan, so far, you've been very, like, critical, so you might even put him lower. But I think most people, I think 95% of people would probably put him... Okay, you actually would put him in the highest tier. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I just want to make sure. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. So, obviously a lot of his character development is from Lostbelt 4, but even just looking at Lostbelt 6, he was a Chad. He was a Chad. He's kind of similar to... Because earlier I was giving Spriggan some props, because he was just a normal-ass human who found himself in Feybritt and just made his way up. And Pepe did the same thing, but in like a fraction of the time. He became one of the... a very rich and popular motherfucker with his own fashion line. Like, that's crazy. Like, he had his own like guards and his like own mini like army kind of. So he was actually a pretty big Chad in just that regard. But of course, you know, later he sacrifices himself. He fights like what, 300 plus Morse humans. Granted, I don't think those Morse humanoids were like attacking him, because I think they made it a point that they weren't, you know, hostile. They were just kind of there suffering. But he still took all those like curses and whatnot. So, pretty big Chad. Pretty big Chad. Yeah, no, he became one of the lords in like a couple months' time. Like that's insane. It took Spriggan hundreds of years, or like not hundreds, but like decades. No, I think he says he's the same as Beryl, in the sense that they're both murderers. But see, the difference between Beryl and Pepe is that Beryl murders for like fun, because he genuinely enjoys it, whereas Pepe murders because of his own moral reasons. Like, he sometimes it might be seen as like evil to other people, but for example, him like killing his entire clan, for example, it was kind of like a mercy kill, almost like a pity kill. But I guess he felt guilty about it in some ways, so he kind of put himself in the same bracket as Beryl, who's just kind of like a mindless piece of shit. So who exactly is Akali and alter ego Goetia? We don't know yet. But it's probably Goetia, right? It's probably Goetia. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, the people in the mountain were basically like human traffickers, essentially. I know, Pepper was MVP. Was MVP till the very end. Alright, well, I don't think there's really much to discuss about Pepe, because, again, good character. Or, I guess, one of the best characters. Alright. Next one. The other side of the spectrum. Beryl Gut. So, I'm going to talk about the things I actually like about Beryl before I talk about the many things that we all hate about him. So, the first thing I like about him is that, you know what? Beryl... Love him or hate him, he kind of dripping. I like his outfit. I'll be real. I like his outfit. I think he dripping sauce. He dripping the sauce right now. I think in terms of fashion sense, he's easily S tier. Easily S tier. So that's the first thing I like about him. Second thing, which I guess I wouldn't say I like about him, but I guess, yeah, kind of. Is that like every crypter before him, and maybe even David, but I don't know much about David's backstory. But every crypter was portrayed to be somewhat evil to some extent. And then they go into this whole backstory, and then we feel bad for them. And then now all of a sudden we want them to be a playable character, or we want to save them from death or whatever. It's always a sob story with all the other crypters. With Beryl's backstory, he was just kind of evil the entire fucking time. Like unapologetically pure evil. So I'm not saying I like him like that or whatever, but I do like the fact that they changed it up a little bit. Like, you know, like not everybody has to have a sob story that makes us feel bad for them or whatever. Like, not like that's just repetitive storytelling at that point. That's kind of the only two things I kind of like about Beryl. Everything else is like whatever. He killed his mom. He's a different. Yeah, and okay. This is the one thing that I didn't like about his backstory. If we're gonna get into it, is that his whole, I guess, what's presumably one of the things that really fucked him up as a kid is the fact that his mom, called him a brat, I guess. And then she apologized about it right after. And he was like, "It's okay, Mom, it's okay." And then kills her like a little bit later after learning all the witchcraft from her. So like his motivations are kind of unclear. I wish they dived more into his backstory, but I guess if he's just meant to be pure evil, I guess it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. I mean, he's easily here, right? No one's gonna argue with that. I found it very, like, I didn't know why, because I knew he was infatuated with Mashu. But the whole bit towards the end where he was like, "Yeah, I snuck into your room and I broke your fingers. Not because I hate you or anything, but it's because I love you. I love to see you suffer." I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this guy is... There's no saving this man. Because I thought there would be like a somewhat of a sympathetic thing going on with him. But no, he was just kind of crazy the entire time. And that's why I think he's worse than Aurora, because at least Aurora has the excuse of being a fairy, and then fairies by nature are just kind of naturally fucked up. Whereas Beryl just has, you know, nothing redeeming. No excuses. A character designed to be... Yeah, no, he's just... And you know what's funny? I remember seeing this post, this thread a couple weeks ago saying that Beryl is pretty much a poor man's Kide. Because Kide is kind of the same thing. He likes watching people suffer, right? And he has like a fucked up, you know, upbringing, I guess. But I could see the parallels between Beryl and Kide, but no, Kide is way better. Kide is way better. At least he's like somewhat entertaining, bro. Like, Beryl a shitbag. And his whole love for Mashi is just creepy as fuck. Yeah, Kide has a much more compelling story than Beryl. Beryl's just like, I'm evil, I learned witchcraft, I killed my mom, and I'm evil as fuck. It's like, that's it. Alright, well, we're pretty much done with the NPCs. So just to recap the NPCs, Pepe on top. Alright, that was expected. Naknaraha at great, the only one at great so far. For the good tier, we got Wag, Rob, Woodrose, Coral, and Koinskaya. For meh, we got Mike, the Da Vinci simp, Bogart, who some people would probably put him at bad, but you know, he had redeeming qualities, whatever. Miriam at meh, and then bad, Spriggan, Winky, which Winky I would put him here personally, but whatever. Bottom of barrel, of course, of the barrel, of course, Beryl and Aurora. So the witch clan he was from is the same as Alice, I heard. Alice was mentioned. If you guys don't know who Alice is, she's a witch from the Mihoyo visual novel from Witch on the Holy Night, and Alice is mentioned in Lostbelt 6 because I think Barrel's mom is, I guess, presumably jealous of Alice because Alice is able to live outside, I guess, and able to live amongst humans, whereas witches like her, witches like Barrel's mom, aren't able to. At least that's the vibe I got. I don't know the exact like background with that, but yeah. Yeah, that's true. Kide did try to correct his evilness, and then he was like, "Fuck it, I'll just be a piece of shit." All right, so the first servant we're gonna rate, which I mean this should go by quick because he literally only lasts for like 5 chapters, is Tristan. So again, we're not rating them based on Camelot or any of the events. We're just rating them based on just this Lost Belt alone. Just this Lost Belt alone. So if you think he's a piece of shit in Camelot, just take that bias and throw it out the window because we're not basing him off of or tiering him based on Camelot. Yeah, I mean Tristan's like, you know, the generic hero, knight, goody two shoes, self-sacrifice. Yeah, Hope isn't here for some reason, but we could talk about Hope later. Once we get to Cat's story, I think that would make the most sense. So I think Tristan definitely good. Self-sacrifice, does the right thing in the end. He was a pretty good. He was a Chad. He was a Chad till the very end. Tristan was just there to die. Yo, Ivan, bro. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna put him at great or best, but like he was at least good because objectively he was a good character. He was a good person. But yeah, I mean, Lancelot and Gawain, are they even here? They're not even here. They literally appeared out of nowhere. Their name wasn't even mentioned in like the dialogue. Like it wasn't even like shown. Like they didn't have a name tag. It just said Knight of the Holy Lake or something, and they just appeared just to, you know, say a cheesy one-liner, and then just got, you know, they just disappeared right after. And then Beryl comes out of the woodwork and it starts fucking with Mash. So I don't know. So I think Tristan that good, that makes sense. Whatever. Like he all right. He did what he needed to do. Yeah, Hope should be here. I don't know why she's not here. I didn't make this tier list, by the way. I didn't make it. Fuck. All right, next one is Red Rabbit, or Red Hair, but they call him Red Rabbit, and because, you know, jokes. So I know that a lot of, because Nasu's the one that wrote this, and in the end of the day, a lot of Nasu stories have a lot of jokes and a lot of meme characters, like characters that don't really like do a lot in the story, but they're just there for like comedic relief, and that's exactly what Red Rabbit was here for. He didn't really have any big story relevance besides the fact that he got us to, you know, point A and point B really quick. So other than that, he was just kind of there. He was all right. He was all right. He was Aurora's personal horse, but towards the latter part of the Lost Belt, he kind of acted on his own. So that's commendable, I guess. So, I mean, he's at least good. You know, I don't hate him, but he might actually be mad because again, he's just kind of there. He's just kind of there. So he's like the high meh and then low good, kind of. Yeah, I know. He appeared in Lost Belt 2, not 2, Lost Belt 3 as well, right? Like they make him a reoccurring character for whatever reason. Aurora initially wanted Red Rabbit to spy on Kalia. Really? Oh, I didn't really pick up on that. I guess maybe. Hated I was forced to use him. Yeah, no, fuck all that. Fuck all that. I think he's like a high meh, low good. High meh, low good. Better than Mordred, that's for sure. Yo, Ivan, yo, chill. I can't tell if you're serious or you're like gaslighting. Oberon mentioned that when he was talking to Aurora. Oh, I didn't pick up on that. I guess, I mean, that makes sense with the character. I'm not doubting you at all. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you know, I'll put him at low good. Whatever. I'll put him at low good. I'll put him above Coin Sky because I think Coin Sky is still, you know, more evil than him, but whatever. All right, next one is Da Vinci. Da Vinci, where do I put you? Because I mean, she wasn't like super story relevant. She was just there as like an information dump. She was there to ask the right questions at the right time, there to clarify certain things. She didn't like have like the biggest story presence besides the fact with like, you know, her whole thing with Mike. Where does Da Vinci go? Fuck. I mean, she's not bad or bottom of the barrel for sure. Should I just put her with Mike just because, you know, Mike would be very happy to be in the same tier with her? Da Vinci taught Mike some bread. That's true. That's true. Is she alright, right? I mean, she's like a reoccurring Chaldean character, so like as a whole, she would probably like looking at the story as a whole, she'd probably be like good to maybe even great. Maybe even best if you guys count like Da Vinci's initial like big Da Vinci, the adult Da Vinci's sacrifice in the beginning of the whole Lostbelt arc. If you count that into consideration, but if you just look at Lostbelt 6, you know, she's there. She's there. All right, well, yeah, she served her purpose. She served her purpose. Merlin, who just appears for like 1.5 chapters, kind of, pretty much. And I assume because based on the dialogue, it sounds like this is the same Merlin that was with us in Babylonia, because he talks about reunion. He talked like he already knows who we are. Granted, he has clairvoyance, so he's able to just know who we are just by watching from afar. But it sounds like this is the same Merlin from Babylonia. Not that that's going to influence where he's placed, because we're just looking at their character in Lostbelt 6. Yeah, I mean, Merlin, he just serves as like information dump again, similar to Da Vinci, but probably more so because he explains the full backstory of Cernunnos and like the original fairies and like Excalibur, why it was not created. What was the whole thing with that? I still wonder why Fo was scared to go with us. That's a good question. I don't know. I really have to think about that. Yeah, he was scared to come with us in the beginning of the Lostbelt. I'd say, I mean, it's probably like high med with, probably in the same tier as Da Vinci. Because he doesn't really do much. He's just, here's a bunch of information. This is where you need to go. Boom, that's it. Like, we don't really get a lot of character out of him. He's just there, I guess. I don't know. So like, I hesitate to put him like a good tier. Oh yeah, he did turn into foe on our way down. I hated Merlin's ass. What's with the Merlin hate, bro? Yeah, I mean, Merlin is stuck in Avalon, so he can't really do much. Alright, well, the next one is Grimir the Sage. Or, of course, just Kukas or whatever. Alright, I'll be honest. I was looking forward to, like, okay, this is just a side thing. But I was looking forward to how Naknaraha and Caster or Grimir was gonna interact, but they didn't really have the interaction I was expecting, which I guess was, you know, for the sake of the story. Even like us as the main character, we were like, oh god, they're about to interact, but then nothing really happened. So I was a little bit disappointed on that, but it's not gonna affect this character. I just wanted to point that out. So I like the fact that he is the same Ku from Fuyuki. So they confirmed that he has memories from Fuyuki. Apparently there was this whole bigger mission, in addition to Fuyuki, that he was entrusted with by essentially Odin, which is cool. I liked how Grimir reacted to. No, that's true. Yeah, he did react. Not as badly as Castoria, but he did, you know, cast a fire spell on the guards and told them to fuck off. And not even the guards, just like the other fairies as well. So, I guess, I mean, he's good, right? He's good. He deserves to be at least here. Because he's been like the bro since Fuyuki. And he's been working behind the scenes throughout Britain for a while, so. They put cheese in Nocturne. Yo, what? Imagine if they did. It's not even poison, it's just straight up cheese. Yeah, I wish Odin was a real character too, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Maybe in the future, Remember, only Lostbelt 6. That's true, but yeah, I mean, it's just directly tied to, Fuyuki's directly tied to Britain. That's the only reason I bring it up, but in the case with Ku, at least. So that's the only reason why I bring up the Fuyuki. Deserves great tier. I honestly, I could agree with that, to be honest. I could agree with that. I actually do agree with that. It's hard to be unbiased with Ku, because in the end of the day, he's Ku. Ku's the bro, you know? I'm gonna say something cursed here, but I haven't since I was busy with some chore. Does Aurora know the feeling of... She might. I don't know if fairies in general know the feeling of sex. I'm not sure. But, I mean, it's implied that... No, not even implied. They say it. They said that Tristan was a prostitute. So they definitely had the concept of sexual relations. So I would assume with Aurora's age, she definitely engaged in some sexual practices in the past. For sure. After like, what, 3,000 years of living? She's still a virgin? No fucking shot. But yeah. Yeah, he also bailed us out, or bailed Mashi out when Melusine was about to fuck her up. Woodrose X Aurora. Yo, someday, man, someday. Yeah, she did it with me. Yo, Chacha, chill. Alright, well, next one is the homie Senji Muramasa. So I said earlier, I have a better appreciation of Muramasa now. Not just Emiya, just Muramasa, just Muramasa as a whole. Because I thought Muramasa from Shimosa was alright. I mean, all he did was make a sword for Musashi. That's about it. But I feel like Lostbelt 6 definitely, like, dived more into his character. Granted, it's a totally different Muramasa summoned by the foreign god, whatever, the alien god. But still, Muramasa is a Chad, for sure, in this Lostbelt. A lot of callbacks to the original Stay Night route, with the whole Shiro going to Avalon, you know, reuniting with Arturia, and then now we're here with Muramasa. Muramasa is using Shiro's body, etc., etc. All right, we get the whole shit without getting too deep into it. But just look at Lostbelt 6. Muramasa was kind of, you know, the whole time he was like playing it off like, I owe you Castoria or Altria or whatever the fuck I should call you. I owe you for saving my life from the auction. But I think in reality he was just being it's kind of assumed that a little bit. You know, he has some residual feelings or biases towards her because of his body and whatnot. He was so stupid. He ran straight into the fate like Yushiro. I mean, he lived till the end until he sacrificed himself. All right, well, I should we go best or great? Because I think it's between those two. I think any lower would be doing his character disservice. In my opinion, would be doing his character disservice. Even though I think some people will disagree. Some people will definitely disagree. But if you had to pick, is it best or great? It looks like most people are saying best. Yellow one, so great. All right, we're gonna say best. We're gonna say best. Fuck it. We're gonna say part of me hurts a little bit putting him there because of, you know, past biases. But all bias aside, bro, like he was a Chad. He was a Chad. He was a Chad. We gotta be real with ourselves for a sec. He did a lot for us. Granted, if we include the previous Lostbelt into account, he did kind of fuck over Wodaim's whole plan. But you know, besides that, you know, he was just doing what he was told to do. If anything, he's very loyal, I guess. Once he has a job, he sees it all the way through, which is commendable, I guess. All right, next one is Goddess, who is revealed later to be an incarnation of Aincel. Spoiler alert. I think Gareth. She's at least good, right? She's at least good. I think some people might even say great. If you're really pushing it, you might say best, but she's at least good. At least. I'll just put her here as a placeholder for now. Good. I didn't like OG Gareth. Okay. Let's smell it. Yeah, she came in clutch a couple of times, maybe as a whole, because she kind of knew what's gonna happen. Because she's like part of the Mirror Clan, and they just have natural clairvoyance, I guess. And she did stand her ground to the bitter end, despite knowing the outcome. You know, I'll say great. Yeah, I'll say great. I might even put her higher than Nakanara, because she acted pretty much selfless until the bitter end, essentially. By the way, correct me if I'm wrong, because towards the end, towards her death, she was protecting those two kids, and she told those kids to hide in like the command room or something. Did those kids die? I can't remember. I don't know if they say explicitly if they died, but I think they implied that they did die, which is kind of fucked up, because her last dying actions were trying to protect these kids, and these kids just fucking. Granted, the whole Lostbelt was gonna cease to exist anyway, so everyone was gonna die no matter what. But yeah, they died. Yeah, that's so fucked up. That's so messed up. They were ghosts. Yeah, because I know her last. The last thing she saw was the kid, the Todoroki looking bitch. Right? And then they like slowly faded away. Yeah, because they never showed up after that. So I assume they died. Yeah, that's fucked up. That's messed up. Yeah, that Todoroki looking bitch. Alright, well, rip the kids. Yeah, the kids aren't here in the tier list, so... we don't have the kids here, which I honestly don't know where to even tier them if they were here. Hope isn't here, which I have my own gripes with Hope, but we'll get there when we get to Castoria, I guess. But the next one is Percival, who going into this Lostbelt, I honestly didn't really care about Percival, and after Lostbelt, I care about him a little bit more, but he's all right. He's okay. I thought he was okay. Morally, he's definitely one of the better characters. I thought he was okay. You know, he was good. He was good. I think I'll put him above Woodrose. Yeah. Oh, Hector too. Holy shit. Yeah, Hector would be. Yo, if Hector was here, the blacksmith, the Black Knight, Morgan's one of her Black Knights. Yeah, he would definitely be either great or best, right? No one would disagree with me on that. I'm surprised Hector isn't here. He's like way more important than Hope, in my opinion. First of all, is what my grandpa looked like at 6. What? There's gonna be a JP stream, yeah, next week. For FGO Fes, which I will be streaming that. Yeah, I would put Percival probably like along with Tristan. I think morally they're probably the same. And his whole relationship with Melusine is probably a big chunk of why his character kind of works for me. We'll get to Melusine though. We'll get to her. I think he's tied with Tristan at high good. I think they're probably tied. They're probably tied. You know what? I'll be honest, because Tristan didn't really last that long, I will actually bump down Tristan down here. Right between Mike and Bogart. I had nothing against Tristan. I just don't think he added too much into the plot. So the fact that I put Da Vinci here and Merlin because they were there very shortly, but then I put Tristan the tier above them, that didn't really make sense. In my head, it didn't really make sense. So I'm gonna knock Tristan down. Knock Tristan down. Nothing against him. It's just whatever. I mean, his last bit with Vargas was pretty sick, but he still got bodied, so whatever. Tristan should have been with Gwaine and Lancelot. Surprisingly, Gwaine isn't. Gwaine and Lancelot aren't here like normal Gwaine and Lancelot. Oh, I totally forgot to change the music back to the fairy music. Let me go do that real quick. Where is it? Yeah, the fairy music. There you go. It's like Aurora's theme though. So the next one is Fairy Knight Tristan or Tamlin Tristan Bavanshi. Oh man, I will say this. I know this Lostbelt is already long as fuck as it is. I wish Tamlin Tristan had more screen time. I wish she had more screen time. I like her character, don't get me wrong. I really like her character. But when we compare her screen time to Melusine and Vargas, I feel like Vargas and Melusine had a fuck ton of screen time and character development, whereas Tristan didn't get that character development until towards the end of her lifespan, which I guess happens a lot with these Lostbelts. But still, just I feel like Melusine, they did a lot with her. I feel like they did the most with her actually. Then Vargas, then I feel like Tamlin Tristan got the short end of the stick. So I wish Tristan had more. That's all I'm saying. Otherwise, I would say, oh man, I think she's a great character. I don't think morally she's a, well, okay, if we have to go there, because her whole backstory is fucked up. Because originally she's supposed to be a kind-hearted fairy. Like, naturally she's supposed to be a really good fairy. But because of her kind-hearted nature, the other fairies took advantage of her for like generations and generations and like hundreds of thousands of years, right? To the point that if she were to die a couple more times or one more time, she would not reincarnate because her soul can't take the torture anymore. So when Morgan finds her, and then despite the position Bavanshi is in, she thanks Morgan for helping her, and then that's what drives Morgan into protecting her, and then teaches her how to be an asshole just so she could go against her fate of being taken advantage of, which doesn't really work because she ends up getting taken advantage of by Beryl and like later Spriggan. So It's like an ironic twist of fate. Like no matter what, she's gonna be taken advantage of. So I think her story is good. I think it's like, I just wish they dove more into it. Killing fairies makes you a hero. Yeah, I mean, she also wanted to cock and ball torture us too, but you know, just besides the point. Yeah, so I'd say she's a great character. I would even put her like high grade. I don't know about best, but I'd put her at high grade. Should have been a calamity. Damn, bro. She could have shown more restraint. If not for her, Morgan probably would have retained power. Yeah, I mean, I think if anything, we can all agree that all the characters are flawed. They all did something wrong. Yeah, I wish she had another fight. I wish her third ascension actually made a physical appearance in the story as well. So there's a lot of things that I wish they could have done, but alas, it's over. So it is what it is. Now over in JP, she's just collecting feet pics. So she's living her best life right now in JP. All right, next one is Vargas. Oh man, Vargas has, in my opinion, again, there's a lot of tragic characters in this entire Lostbelt, but I think Vargas probably has the most fucked up one. Easily, in my opinion, easily the most fucked up backstory. Because I mean, Babanchi or Fairy Knight Tristan's pretty bad too. She's close second in my opinion, but Vargas is like, her backstory is fucked. Which I mean, it makes for a very compelling story. Makes for a very compelling story. So, like the whole thing with Adonis, and like it's revealed later on that she been eat him, but she got like brainwashed essentially by Oberon to believe that Adonis is still alive. I was like, fuck, dude, shit's fucking cray, bro. Adonis is beef for real, yo, Cha-Cha, for real. You were telling her stories with the Knights of the Round, and then she just ate your ass. I feel you, dog. Yeah, I would say, I think it just makes sense for Vargas to also be, she might even be in best tier, honestly, but like, okay, I'll leave it up to you guys. She's at least great. She's at least great, in my opinion. I don't care what anyone else says, whether she's good or below. She's at least great. Is she great or is she best? Which one? Next to Tristan or next to Babanshi? Yeah. Was it Oberon or Morgan who closed that memory? Couldn't tell. It was Oberon, because I think it was like specifically said that she was gonna be put into a dream, into believing that Adonis is alive, and I'm pretty sure only Oberon has that power over dreams and like stuff of that nature. Besides Merlin, of course, but Merlin didn't do that, so it was definitely Oberon. Yeah, next to Tristan makes sense. Best, she cared about the fairies and us, but her nature over. That's true, because you gotta think about it. Even though she knew that she was gonna give in to her nature, she wanted to at least save her fairies. Granted, she didn't realize her fairies in her city were fucked up in their own way. But she didn't really care about saving herself. She just wanted to save her fairies. So honestly, I think Vargas might be up here, because she tried to do everything right, but unfortunately, because of her very nature, she wasn't able to. Which is very tragic. She's a tragic character, you know. Yeah, so I would say best. Which is funny because going into the Lostbelt, I really didn't care about Vargas. I was like pretty indifferent, but after reading it, of course, you know, after knowing their backstory and whatnot, I have a greater appreciation for Vargas. If it wasn't for her curse, she would be like literally the perfect character in a lot of ways. Like morally speaking, the perfect character. In my headcanon, Bargus and Melusine survived and made it to Caldia. Well, speaking of Melusine, so she's up next. So I insinuated earlier that I wish Tristan, Fairy Knight Tristan, Tamlin Tristan, got more screen time. But I do understand that this whole Lostbelt is already long as it is. So to add more cutscenes in maybe would have been too much. More dialogue maybe would have been too much. I think, in my opinion, they could have cut back on a lot of the whole Melusine stuff. And I understand a lot of people love her. I love her too, trust me. I went into her gacha hardcore parkour. I have her MP3. I use her all the time. I love her. Great design, whatever. But her whole thing with Aurora was like beaten into the ground so much. Like I get it. I get her backstory. You don't have to keep telling me her backstory. Like they kept saying it. Like they kept reiterating it. Like I forgot. Like no, I know she used to be a lump of flesh from the original Albion, and then Aurora came out and then, you know, helped her up. And I get it, but they kept saying it. It's like, what the fuck? So I think they could have cut back on her backstory, but that's not really a fault of her character. That's more so of the writing itself. They cut back on her and then focused more on Tristan. I think it would have been a better overall story. That's like one of my few gripes with Lostbelt 6, by the way, is that I wish the whole Melusine thing wasn't as, you know, beaten into my head. So towards the end, she does stab Aurora after realizing that Aurora, there's no saving her no matter what. So she kills her out of like mercy, out of pity, because she knows Aurora wouldn't really survive in the human world. So I wouldn't put Melusine. Okay, wait, we gotta remember, towards the end when everything seemed lost and we were inside the abyssal worm and we were trying to find a way to escape before all hope was lost, she did come through. Granted, she didn't really do it intentionally or specifically to help us. She did come through with the save and did blast Kamehameha, the abyssal worm, for us, and then helped us out inadvertently. So I don't know if that should be factored into her tier. Aurora could have gone to Hollywood. She'd be fine. That's true. But yeah. As far as Melusine goes, I would say probably good makes sense. Maybe great, but you guys would have to make a really good argument with her to be a great character, because I like her character, don't get me wrong, but I think the whole simping with Aurora could have been dealt with a bit better. But yeah, no, Aurora would not survive Twitter. I don't know. I think she would do really well as like a social media influencer. She could literally like just sit there in front of a camera, like a lot of streamers do. Let's be real, and just look pretty. I think Aurora would actually do pretty well in the human world. But going back to Melusine, I think good makes sense. I think along with Percival, I think they just belong together, I guess. All right, well, Twitter would be like, "Go Queen, slay Aurora's biggest." Yeah, no, for sure. I think Melusine actually like made a mistake with that. I think her thinking that Aurora would not survive the human world. I mean, Melusine doesn't know anything about the human world at that point. Because I think Aurora would do pretty well here. She would do exceptionally well. Percival helped out more than Melusine. Okay, I mean, I could do that, but like, I don't think Melusine's gonna be any higher. Yeah, if it's laggy for anybody, Hunter, if it's laggy for anybody, just let me know and I'll see if I can fix that on my end. I don't think I can, but yeah. Maybe a refresh, I'm not sure. Okay, well, the next one is Habitat or Totoro. Who, I mean, I already know what tier I would put her in. It's lagging a bit. It's fine for me. Oh, it was lagging. Oh, so it was lagging. So if as long as it's fine now, then I guess it's okay. Well, where should Habitat go? Yeah, I'm sorry if it's lagging. Great, definitely best. Best tier, okay. Habitat made the biggest sacrifice of all. I would argue she definitely made one of the biggest sacrifices. I wouldn't say the biggest, but yeah. Yeah, I will say that, Ivan, I don't want to spoil anything for future storylines, but after what happened to Habitat towards the end of Lostbelt 6, I feel like that should be it for her story. And she should not have any main story relevance. Events, okay, that's fine. Valentine's, whatever. Christmas, whatever. Whatever, any event she could be a part of. But without spoiling anything, again, if you saw the end of Lostbelt 6, it's not really a spoiler. But Habitat, to some capacity, I don't think it's the same Habitat. I don't think it's Totoro. But she does stick around with Caldia for a little bit. Which does rub me the wrong way, because if you're going to have a big sacrifice scene, let them stay dead, I guess. That was my whole thing with Musashi, and the fact that Musashi has a new game. I'm glad that Musashi is a relevant character in Samurai Remnant, but I hope this Samurai Remnant takes place before Lostbelt 5, because having Musashi sacrifice herself and then she's like still around doesn't really make sense to me, especially since they made the whole sacrifice scene a big deal. Yeah, the Habitat we have, yeah, is technically not the same one, but still, you know, why she still, like, I don't know. Just her as a concept shouldn't stick around, but that's okay. Whatever. If we're just looking at Lostbelt 6, I think Habitat is either great or even best. I'm gonna take the reins here, because I know some people said great, some people said best. I think I'm gonna say best. That's just me personally. Just looking at Lostbelt 6, not looking at anything past Lostbelt 6. I think best is fine. I think that's fine. She might be higher than Bargus, although Bargus is pretty hard to like beat. Going to try to pair my Habitat with Berserker Musashi. The two dead ones. All right, so Habitat best tier, easily for me, no questions asked. You know, I will say this: one of the few things, along with Tristan's backstory not being that, or like Melisandre's backstory being like beaten like a dead horse, I think when Habitat revealed that she had the black barrel, I honestly thought she was gonna use the black barrel. As somebody who didn't read the JP translations or anything, or most of them, I thought the reason Habitat has the black barrel as her noble phantasm, or at least something that looks like it, is that she comes in clutch later in the Lostbelt 6 story and actually uses it and effectively sacrifices herself. But instead she just gives it to Mashu and then Mashu uses it. I thought she was gonna use it. Personally, I thought that would have been cool. Imagine the same graphic and the same, like, I guess animation, the same CG was used with Mashu using the black barrel, you know, the whole zoom in and the shot and shit. But instead of Mashu, it was Habitat. I think that would have been cool, personally, but you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's probably the only thing regarding her character, regarding Habitat's character, that like I was a little bit about. Would have been cool to see the little bugger use the black barrel within the story. All right, well, we're down to, I don't know why Oberon has two, but I guess technically they're kind of two separate characters, and I don't know why Hope isn't here, but we'll get to Hope later, I guess. But now we're getting into essentially the main characters, kind of this Lostbelt. And that's Castoria, Morgan, and Oberon. And they separated Oberon and Vertigern, but we're gonna just rate them the same way. Why not? So Castoria, who has a fuck ton of character development in this Lostbelt. Like a fuck ton. Definitely the most out of all the characters, which makes sense. She's kind of the main character, so it makes sense. Yeah, the Castoria that comes back towards the end is technically not her, but like her heroic spirit form, I guess you could say. But she still retains the knowledge and memories of the other, of like the alive Castoria that we traveled with. But besides the point, we're still gonna rate them the same way. It doesn't really matter. So where does Castoria go? Where does Castoria go? Because going into this Lostbelt, I didn't expect her to be so, I guess, depressing and doubtful, I guess. Because she has this very happy, I guess, persona. But in reality, she's actually very doubtful and like doesn't really want to do what she wants to do. Basically copy Gilgamesh, you can do that on base. Okay, yeah, for sure. Castoria probably suffered the most. Yeah, you know, when they went to her backstory in her original village, Tentagle, that's what it's called, right? Her village that raised her. And the whole fact that she was raised in a stable and she lost 2 of her toes or something because of frostbite. I was like, God damn, she only got 8 toes? Like, I that's information I didn't know I needed to hear, but geez. So she has a, like, just like a lot of characters, she has a very fucked up backstory. Castoria's arc looped many times. I wanted more of that backstory instead of whose backstory. Yeah, she only has 8 toes, bro. It's wild. And then towards the end, when she was already kind of dead, essentially, after sacrificing herself to deal a significant blow to Carnunos' skin, before she was summoned as a heroic spirit against Oberon, she has a vision of Hope. And if you guys don't remember, the fairy that was with us in the Nameless Woods that didn't have a name, apparently her real name is Hope. I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about that part. Because I know a lot of people criticize Lostbelt 5, for example, for having a shit ton of ass pulls, especially towards the end with Musashi being able to close the Chaos gate or Chaos's portal to our reality or whatever the fuck. But I feel like this ass pull is a bit more left field than that, because it's literally like, oh, I'm Castoria, I still don't know my meaning, I don't know if I want to be summoned as a heroic spirit, whatever. And then Hope comes out of nowhere. It's like, no, here's some hope. It's like, oh, okay. Like, what? I did not, like, I knew that fairy was gonna be important just because she has a unique design. Usually when a character has a unique design, that means they're going to be relevant to the story in some form or fashion. But I feel like the whole thing with Castoria, how she became a servant and how she accepted her role and whatever, was just kind of out there, my opinion. So I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if they could have written that bit a little bit better, but so if Hope was here, if that fairy was here, again, if you don't know which fairy I'm talking about, just Google type Hope, type Moon Wiki or something. You could jog your memory or something. She literally just appears for like the first 2 or 3 chapters and then just dies. But she's apparently very important for Castoria's motivation towards the end, which again, I didn't know how I felt about that. She'd probably be in the meh category. Hope, meh to good, probably good, because she was all right, but still kind of out of left field. Yeah, it felt like an ass pull. But I forgot, did Hope want to eat us? I don't think so. Is the Morgan in LB6 the Morgan from Saber Arteria timeline or a different Morgan? You kind of have to read the story. But kinda and kinda not. Read the story, because I don't want to dive into it. Just know that there's some influences of Arteria timeline Morgan in her, I guess. So where does Castoria go? I feel like, okay, she did want to eat us. I guess as a Morse, maybe. Yeah, I guess maybe I guess she wanted to eat us as a Morse, but I didn't really count that as herself wanting to do it. But where the fuck does this story go? We just went off topic a little bit. I think Castoria, she's either high grade or low best. Yeah, Hope's design was really cool. I really liked her design too. So is she high grade or low best? Because I don't know if I'd put her like high best, for example. I like her character, but wait, how are you basing how good they are? I just have like their impact in the story, how influential they are, how good their character development are, you know, a bunch of different things story wise. Not really like, you know, mundane things like, oh, their design's really good, so design S tier. But like, no, just like their role in the story, essentially. Low breast, in my opinion. I mean, she ain't got the biggest package ever, so. Yeah, I'll say low best. I'll say low best. I think maybe even mid best, but like, I'll put her here, you know, I'll put her there. I'll put her there. I'll put her like in the middle best. I'll put her there. Hope was also former Aurora. I think you were talking. I think that was another fairy, not Hope herself, but I could be wrong. Because I think there was another fairy that they name dropped. That if you look back at the earlier chapters, one of the fairies that lived in the nameless woods was that fairy. But yeah. Yeah, I will say Castoria's moment when she was on the throne and then transforming. Or not transforming, but using the 12 lances and then later use that same formula and her own body to recreate like the holy sword or use its essence. That was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool. I think that would be pretty sick to see animated. It was her? I honestly don't think it was, but I could be wrong. I thought it was that other dude that it was a wind fairy that didn't have his wings anymore. In the nameless woods. I'm pretty sure that was the person, but yeah. Alright, so now we move on to Morgan, who by and large is probably one of the most popular female Fate Grand Order characters, Fate Grand Order servants. I believe she is, or was at the time, like a year and a half ago, the most 120'd character in the entire Fate Grand Order community. So she's fairly popular. And after reading the story, I could kind of see why, but we gotta be somewhat objective here. Even though this is a very subjective list, but we gotta be a little bit you know, we gotta be a little bit logical here as well. Morgan cared and actually acted like a king. Coral making me act up. Yo, Coral the homegirl, to be honest. Although, should I leave once you do Oberon? Have not finished Lostbelt 6 yet. Yeah, you should probably leave if you don't know the backstory. For sure. For sure. If she hasn't blown off her responsibilities for her own selfish goals, the world wouldn't have needed to send Castoria in. Damn. She has the right opinion of protecting Britain over fairies. Cared about herself and her fluff plan wouldn't have worked. Oh yeah, I'll see you later, Ouyang. Again, I don't want to spoil things for you if you don't want to get spoiled. The only downside I saw of her is not telling others that she still cared all this time. I think she just didn't want to show any weakness. Because you gotta think, for generations and generations, she tried her best to save the fairies and show that she cared. But they always took advantage of her and then betrayed her later. So I think she wanted to be seen as like an ice-cold ruler. Like merciless to the very core. Even though deep down she probably still cares a little bit. Because she didn't want to get betrayed. Even though it didn't work, she still got betrayed. But you could still kind of see her line of thinking still. And for at least 2,000 years it worked. For 2,000 years she was able to rule with very little problems. So again, in theory it did work, but she definitely needed to put her foot down with certain characters if she wanted to rule indefinitely. I did find that kind of weird that she cared about the land, ruling the land, but not the people in the land, which is like, without the people there's no kingdoms. So it's like it was a weird thing for her to care about, but again, she's kind of a weird character anyway. Because she did need the fairies alive, essentially, to funnel magical energy from them to power up her lances and her throne, so she could eventually defend Camelot or Britain as a whole against Cernunnos, right? If I'm not mistaken, that was her whole big grand plan. But we said, fuck you. We want your lance, and the fairies don't like you. And of course, we didn't know her plan until it was too late. The people get reincarnated is their argument. Yeah, if their will is strong enough, they do reincarnate. That's true. It could be said that when Morgan was Ayask or Tonliko or Tanaliko or original JP name, whatever, yeah, she would defeat the calamities, but she would always run away after that. And she would just run away because she got taken advantage of and hunted down by the fairies right after. So I kind of get it. I kind of understand. Yeah, it's not as power scaling tier list, because if it was, then Morgan would probably be in the top. Because, okay, one of the things I do like about Morgan, just as a force to be reckoned with, not even talking about her character. And I know some people don't like the way she died, but I do like the fact that she's the only she's the only Lostbelt king we've never beaten. We as Kalia, we're not the ones that took her down. Every other Lostbelt king, we had a very active role in taking her down. Granted, we did distract some of her clones, and we did lead a whole rebellion against her city, which did distract her, which allowed, everyone else behind the scenes to defeat her ultimately. But we ourselves, we didn't deal the finishing blow. We weren't there when she died. So I thought that was pretty, there's two sides to it. I think on one side that's cool because it just shows that she was really a force to be reckoned with. She was really powerful in her own right. And the only way to beat her was through assassination or treachery or backhanded, underhanded tactics. On the other hand, I wish we were there when I feel like if we were in the room when everything went down, I feel like as Fujimaru, as the master, as the main character, we would have stepped in and stopped the fairies from beating her ass. It's what made LB6 better for me. It stopped being formulaic, predictable plot to the point servant sacrifice sort of loosened its effect on me. Yeah, no, I feel like they did a lot of things differently, which some things worked for me, but I think for the most part, or some things didn't work for me, but I think for the most part, as a whole, it did work for me. So, again, Morgan dying out of nowhere, I think that was just part of the storytelling. So, okay. Again, I'm gonna ask one more time. I know you guys already answered, but I just want to see. But everything said so far, does Morgan need to be... Where does Morgan need to be in the tier list? Best, great, good, meh, bad, bottom of the... I don't think anyone would say bad or bottom of the barrel. I don't... Some people might, but I think most people wouldn't. Where does she deserve to be? Taking her entire backstory, her motivations, her downfall, everything into account, where does she deserve to be? Okay, a lot of people are saying best. Neglecting mother tier. I mean, I made a mother tier list a couple months ago, and she was in a pretty high tier. But after reading the story, I don't know. I think she definitely tried her best to protect Tamlin and Tristan. I think that much could be agreed upon, but just the whole fairy nature was not working in her favor at all. All right, so we're gonna put Morgan. I know Ivan's not gonna agree with this, and some people actually don't agree. Will not agree with this, but I think, by and large, I think she deserves to be in best tier. I think, personally too. I think she deserves to be here. I don't think she's like right here, but you know, mid best. I think this makes sense. In my opinion. I think Morgan's death mirrored Saber Altria's timeline when written. I didn't even cross my mind. That makes sense. That does make sense. Oh well, I'm not saying like none of these characters are perfect, but just looking at the tiers. I wish one day we would get Ruler Morgan. She seemed like a G. She seemed very OP. Like just the whole fact that she was able to decipher ray shifting and everything. I think Morgan as a whole is just a badass. Apparently, I don't know. Like she's evil to the core, like the original Morgan from our history, but still, it'd be cool. I mean, I do agree with you on that, Ivan. I think they could have cut a lot of stuff out. And I think the story would have been just as impactful, if not a bit more impactful, especially with Melusine. Again, Melusine's backstory was just like, it was a lot. Like they kept retelling it. If anything, Morgan as a character is full of flaws, but being able to see those flaws and understand where she's coming from is the point. Yeah, no. I mean, that's a big reason why I like Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is like one of the most flawed characters in the entire series. But I still like him because those flaws are what makes him like an interesting character, I guess. Makes him relatable sometimes. I will say this, the whole chocolate thing with Devil Karen and whatnot, I don't think that had to be there. I get that a lot of Nasu works have a lot of jokey parts, but that part did not have to be there. Especially where it was placed, because they put that whole chocolate contest part right after we had the whole Albion and Melusine mini arc, and then right before us as the main character and Kastura get kidnapped by Fairy Knight Tristan. I feel like that just did not have a good placement within the story. It was funny, but like it didn't have to be there, narratively speaking. Alright, well, we rated all these characters so far. Of course, we have to talk about the final and arguably the most influential character in terms of the story. He was pulling the strings behind everyone. Behind us, behind Aurora, Miriam, Woodrose even. Everyone was being played by this man. And again, they're separated by two characters, but we're going to include them in the same. I don't care. And that is the homie Oberon. Now, again, everyone hates Aurora because she's a manipulative bitch. But everyone loves Oberon for the same reason. So it's just a weird dichotomy, I notice. But it is what it is. Yeah, I feel like if the chocolate scene was a bit earlier on, it would make more sense. But, you know, what it is, what it is. Yeah, that is one thing you got to keep in mind about Oberon. He did achieve his overall goal of destroying Britain. It's just he wanted to have a bit more than just Britain. He wanted to destroy the rest of the world, but that didn't happen. But still. Yeah, Alex, Archblades, me and my girlfriend joke about that all the time. About just Blanca being just smacked away. just nonchalantly like, no, Blanca, no. But if you have Oberon's Bond 10 craft essence, or you know the translation of it, there's actually a lot more behind Blanca's backstory that meets the eye. I kind of wish they dived into her backstory within the Lostbelt itself, but it's still interesting to read about once you get Oberon Bond 10. If you must know. Should separate them by ally Oberon and enemy Oberon. See, but the thing is, they're so intertwined with each other that I feel like you have to include both of them. Because a big part of enemy Oberon's character is the fact that he's been playing us as ally Oberon. So really, he's almost Bond 6 right now. Yeah, no, you gotta Bond 10 that motherfucker to get that full Blanca backstory. Otherwise, it's implied that Ritsuka is his Titania too, or Titania. Well, he does say that anybody who's able to accept him despite his lies and his, you know, whole character, anyone's able to love him despite his, those flaws, would be considered his Titania or his Titania, which in a lot of ways is actually Blanca. Again, read Oberon's Bond 10 craft essence, because again, Blanca has a lot more character than you might think. So I'd like to think Blanca was his Titania, but he just didn't realize it. But that's just me. I guess Castoria could have been as well, because they kind of teased it a little bit with one of the dialogue cutscenes where we're like, well, what if Castoria is your Titania? Then he was like, oh, well, I don't think so personally, but yeah. So I think there's like a couple candidates who could be his Titania, but I like to think it's Blanca, because Blanca just fits the bill the most. Accepted him for who he was, stayed by his side the entire time, and even protected him towards the end, even though he apparently did not really care about it. Well, according to him, even though he's a dirty liar. Yeah, the red dialogue options. Yeah, that's pretty... I wish they would do that more, because the whole thing with FGO is that its storytelling is similar to a visual novel, but the choices do not matter. Whereas a lot of visual novels have the choices matter. I get that they cannot have like a lot of different endings for Fate Grand Order, because in the end it's not a VN. But I kind of wish, like, depending on your choices, it does have a small impact on the story. Just, you know, a little thing like that. So they did do that with Oberon apparently, where depending on your choices, you get extra bit of dialogue with him towards the end. So I think that's pretty cool. Wish they would do that more. I wish they would do that a lot more. The fact that they only did it with Oberon's kind of weird. Can someone explain the lore with the red words? I don't think there's any like lore on why it's red, but it's essentially showing that Fujimaru had a feeling or knew that Oberon was evil the entire time. So depending on your choices of dialogue throughout the Lostbelt, you might have those red dialogue speeches that basically lets you know as the reader that the story's not over yet, and that the main character Fujimaru knows that Oberon's about to come out of the woodwork and reveal his true side, his true evilness. And that's essentially it. I mean, there's a bit more dialogue once Oberon actually shows up, where we confront him about his motivations, and we ask him, what about finding Titania or something? And then he actually hesitates a little bit, which shows that one of the few things that he was truthful about is the fact that he is looking for his wife, even though he knows that she cannot exist, because she's a fictional character. That's apparently not tied or recorded in the Throne of Heroes, which is tragic for him, but it is what it is. Little does he know that Blanca was there the entire time. But yeah, and if you Bond 6 Oberon, actually, if you Bond 6 him and go to his profile and then scroll all the way down, it does talk a little bit about Titania as well. Plus, he's not Oberon. Yeah, technically he's not. So, he do be pretending. But the emotions are real, damn it. It's kind of like, it's similar. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same. But it's similar to Kingu in Babylonia. And his whole thing with his Enkidu emotions that he has for Gilgamesh. And how he struggles with that. I feel like it's similar to that. Where this Oberon, even though he's not the real Oberon, he still has those emotions and feelings inside of him. And he struggles with it. So, I think there's some similarities there. I'm not saying that Kingu is like a pretender or anything, but still, I think there's some parallels there. But yeah. All right, so what tier does Oberon go to? Given his whole backstory, given his motivations, given his whole character. I will say this. I do relate a lot to, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, like, oh, you're a homicidal maniac that wants to watch the world burn. I think to a certain extent, everyone wants to watch the world burn, but no, I don't want to kill anyone. I have no desire to kill anyone. Let me just say that right now. But I do relate to some of what Oberon says towards the end when we talk to him in the dream and we ask him about his motivations. This is going to be weird. I'm trying my best to explain this. But we ask him about his motivations and he says something along the lines of he feels like stories should continue to exist, but he knows that humans love to move on to the next story and forget about the previous one or something along those lines. As soon as the page is over, it's like that story never existed and they move on to the next thing. He says something along those lines. I'm sure I butchered it, but I related to that a lot just because I kind of struggle personally finding like people to talk to about certain stories and like anime, TV shows, whatever it is, because I feel like a lot of people nowadays like to move on to the next thing right away rather than like revel in like the, I guess, in the moment of experiencing whatever story they experience. So I don't know if that made sense, but just know I related to that a lot. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, I didn't expect to relate to him in this level, because I do value stories a lot, and he seems to value them in the same way. I guess that's the most simplest way I could put it. He values stories a lot. I value it a lot as well. So yeah, I mean, I would put, okay, so we're gonna put both Oberons in the same tier, like I said, because they're intertwined no matter what. So is he high, low, or mid best? Because I think everyone's gonna agree that he do be the best, though. He do be the best. That's why I like UBW the most. It had more potential to continue and the anime showed it. Yeah. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty sick nasty. High best. High best. Okay. Okay, is he all the way here? Like, is he here? Is he I'm not gonna lie. Just because I did relate to him a little bit in his perspective about stories. I would put him that high. But just before Pepe, okay. I could agree. Pepe high. Pepe's still the best character. That's fucking wild. That's wild. But it makes sense. Okay. So Pepe is still undoubtedly the best character. I mean, Oberon did indeed have more impact, but I think, I don't know, maybe tied. Maybe let's just say tied. Let's just say tied. Yeah. Pepe did have a bit more development across other Lostbelts, which is kind of unfair, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think again, if Hope was here, Hope would probably be like good tier to maybe meh tier, in my opinion. Was it true Oberon pretended to be Merlin during Castoria's training? Yeah, if you guys didn't catch that, during Castoria's training in Tintagel, when she was talking with her staff and she was learning Merlin Magecraft, that was actually Oberon. It's not explicitly stated, but it's hinted because when Castoria wanted to learn a spell that allowed her to warm herself up during the winter. Merlin was like, "Oh, just give me a couple days to study. I mean, to learn a spell to teach you or something along those lines." So, the fact that the Grandcaster or one of the Grandcaster candidates needs a couple of days to prepare a spell for Castoria to learn, that's kind of indicative that that's probably not Merlin, because Merlin could probably teach you a spell like that right off the bat. So it was definitely Oberon. Oberon was 1000% pretending to be Castoria. That's why early on in the story, when Castoria meets Oberon face to face and hears his voice, one of Castoria's first lines with Oberon is, "Huh, you remind me a lot of Merlin." And then it shows Oberon's face like, shit. So it is sprinkled here and there. It's just one of those things that could be easily missed. But that's some good character development, I guess. Oberon also mentioned that he had known Castoria for a long time, which seemed weird. Yeah, no, so it was sprinkled throughout the story. By the way, the bugs mentioned that Oberon is Vertigern is part 1. It's so sneaky, but with hindsight. Yeah, no. There's a lot of hints. Also, another thing that happens, I think in part 1, when Oberon's forest got burned down by Bargus and Portune. If you guys don't remember Portune, he's not here, but he was one of the Mirror Clan fairies that worked directly under Morgan. After Bargus and Portune leave the forest after getting defeated, they don't leave together. They leave separately. Portune leaves first and Bargus leaves second. So Portune's running away alone, and he gets attacked by an unknown assailant, and we don't see who it is. And they don't say who it is, but if you look back on it, it was most likely Oberon, because what attacks him are like bugs or bug-like things, which Oberon uses all the time. And why would Oberon, or why would anyone else but Oberon attack Portune? Because Oberon's obviously, well, not obviously, he likes to lie a little bit, but he did care about the forest. He does care about the forest, whether he wants to admit it or not. So when it was burned down, he just wanted to get a little bit of revenge on Portune, a little bit. At least that's how I interpreted it. And he did say, Portune did say, "Hey, I recognize you. You're the Morse King, or like you were from the previous war, or something." So that's most likely Oberon, or it's definitely Oberon. How was Merlin not able to observe Oberon? Because he states that it was weird that Ritsuka did a lot of talking to himself. It's not stated, but I just assumed that Oberon had like a shit ton of bounded fields used on him, or maybe as a pretender, he's just really good at hiding the truth. I don't know. But yeah, he definitely has some kind of ability that allows him to be unperceivable by Merlin, I guess. But yeah, I guess this is it. Merlin uses dreams, Oberon makes dreams. That's true, yeah. Maybe Oberon did some shenanigans, knowing that he has sort of an advantage towards Merlin's abilities. Chiyomi taught him. I find that funny that there was video animations that Chiyomi is teaching Oberon how to use ninjutsu. But anyway, this is the tier list. So in the best tier, we got Peperoncino, or Pepe. We got the Oberons. We got Muramasa, Castoria, Morgan, Bargus, and Habitrot, or Totorot. Over in the great tier, we have Tristan, who, I'll be honest, probably doesn't deserve to be this high, but given her backstory, I think she definitely should be in a high tier for sure. Gareth, Nakanaraiha, Grimir the Sage, or Ku Caster. Then over in the good tier, we got Percival, Melusine, which I wish Melusine was higher, but I don't know. I think given her character and her backstory, I think good is fine. I think great you could make the argument for, but yeah. We got the Wag, Rob, Woodrose, Coral, Red Rabbit. Red Rabbit, honestly, This is the one change. Hector isn't here for some reason, but Hector would probably be great to best tier, to be honest. I don't know why he's not here. I didn't add him, or I didn't make this tier list. I'll actually knock Red Rabbit down a little bit, just because I don't think he deserves to be up here, especially since we got Merlin Da Vinci down here. Like, why is Red Rabbit higher? It makes no sense. Coral, Koyanskaya, then Meh, which Meh just means like they didn't really have the biggest story relevance. You could make the argument with Merlin because he's like an information dump, but that's kind of his only role, is as an information dump. Same thing with Da Vinci. Mike was all right. Tristan was okay. He didn't have much screen time either. Red Rabbit was just a means of transportation. Bogart, he could have been bad, but he kind of redeems himself towards the end. Miriam could have been bad, but it's revealed she isn't as sadistic as Kazuo Drop in the end of the day, despite looking like her. Spriggan's bad. Winky is a piece of shit. In fact, fuck you, Winky. I'll put Winky here. Aurora is bottom of the barrel, and then Barrel, of course, is very low in the tier list. Yeah, it is very top heavy, unfortunately. I mean, that just shows a lot of the characters were good. We're decently written for the most part. I would like to rank Mash here as well. Ooh. Yeah, because he does go through her own character arc as Annis, as the Child of Prophecy, and so on. And she shows a lot of emotion, especially when it came to Habitrot and Morgan, because of the fact that she traveled with them. By the way, for those of you guys who play Tears of the Kingdom, because me and my girlfriend just finished Tears of the Kingdom like 4 days ago or something, and we also read Lostbelt 6 together. I couldn't help but notice, and I'm not saying one copied the other, I'm definitely not saying that, but I couldn't help there was a lot of parallels between the two stories. I don't want to spoil Tears of the Kingdom for anybody, but there definitely is some things that look like, it looks like the same story almost. Very similar stories. It's weird. It's weird. Not saying one copied the other. I'm just saying that they're similar. That's all. But yeah, Mash would probably be maybe the great tier. I would put her great. I don't know about best, but she would definitely be great. Oh my gosh. Still coughing. What about past Morgan? I mean, I just included past Morgan with this Morgan, so. Yo, I finished Game of Thrones last year, the show. Last 2 seasons, complete ass, but that's besides the story. Yo, yeah, Mashu is like 2000 years old, 2000 plus years old. She's old as shit now, which means she's kind of a MILF. Well, she's not a MILF because you would need to be a mother to be a MILF, but still, she a cougar. She a cougar. Absolutely. Fuck, man, I'm coughing a lot. But yeah. So Mashi would probably be great tier. But yeah, next week will be the 8th anniversary shit. We spent a lot of time in this tier list, by the way, which I'm pretty proud of. I think we did a decent job. I think some things could definitely be changed, some things could be moved around, but I think for the most part, we got everyone down pretty accurately. I would say. You already do the summer wish list. Oh, I completely forgot we were gonna do that. So I mean, we could spend a short time talking about it. So because 8th anniversary is next week, FGO anniversary is next week as well. We're obviously gonna be having the 8th anniversary announcement with the 8th anniversary servant, so on and so forth. But last year they actually did tease the summer servants, particularly one of them being Proto Merlin. So I was just wondering what you guys are thinking is going to be in this year's summer event, because it could be 3 servants like they did last year, 3 SSRs I should say, which I honestly don't want that to happen, but we'll see. I'm thinking for anniversary, I think it's probably gonna be Olga. If not Olga, I would be very surprised But if it's not Olga, maybe Aoko from Mihoyo, I would say, because the Mihoyo movies still need to come out sometime this year, right? I think they announced it a couple years ago, and with the visual novel being out, I mean, for English, I think it just makes sense. Medusa just got a new Saber version. I don't think she's gonna be Summer. Richard from Strange Fake would be a pretty ballsy move for anniversary. I think that would be cool, actually. They might do something for Strange Fake for Samurai Remnant to celebrate that. Maybe make a brand new Berserker Musashi as an anniversary, but I think a lot of people would be pretty pissed about that. So I think they'll save like a new Berserker Musashi either as a costume or as a Samurai Remnant collab servant or something. I hope the Mihoyo movie does suck. I hope so too. As somebody who read the visual novel, I really like the story, so hopefully the movie does the visual novel justice. And for once, I'm going into a Type Moon work as a VN elitist. No, I won't be that harsh on it. Like, if they cut out some stuff, whatever. As long as the story, for the most part, is told well enough, not perfectly, because expecting a perfect adaptation is just unrealistic, especially when adapting a visual novel which has a fuck ton of dialogue. So as long as the Mihoyo movie does okay, then I'll be pretty satisfied. Yeah, Resh just got a costume in LB7, so she might get a summer version still, because I still think she's due for a summer version. Ivan, I just saw your question earlier. You said a week. I thought it was sooner. Yeah, it's like 6 days, 5 days, but yeah, technically a week. So until the 8th anniversary stuff drops. Ooh, who would be the guy servant for this year's summer? Like, who's gonna get a costume? I could see it being Oberon. I feel like, because if you guys saw the merch that they dropped for FGO Fes, a lot of it is Lostbelt 6 stuff. Like, a lot of it is like Fairy Britain stuff. So I don't know if that's indicative of what they're preparing to drop for summer. Maybe we're gonna get like a Morgan summer or any of the other Tamlin or Fairy Knights. So I could see them coming out as summer servants. Summer Suffle, fuck no. I think giving Oberon the skin would be cool. I think Oberon getting a summer outfit would be pretty sick. With Blanca, if Blanca makes a return in his sprite or something, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe Fairy Knight Tristan or Tamlin Tristan with like a Cornunos floaty. I think like, tell me I'm not cooking right here. Tamlin Tristan with a swimsuit, and because she has no experience swimming, presumably because in Fae Britain there wasn't really any like pools or anything. Maybe she has a floaty and it's like a Cornunos floaty. Just saying. I think I'm cooking something here. Bargus with a swimsuit would be interesting to see, to be honest. As a dog, she could naturally swim, so she doesn't need a floaty or anything like that. Oh man. Summer Morgan, but she is piece by piece like a jigsaw. What do you mean? What I mean by that? What you mean by that? Nah, but I do think Morgan probably, like, it's probably the right time. Maybe even Castoria. I don't know if that's like a weird take, but Castoria getting a swimsuit, some people might complain. They would be like, oh, here we go. What's the difference between this and Arturia? It's like, you know, Castoria is a different character technically, so. Agravain for summer? I don't know about that. I mean, last year they gave us Proto Merlin for summer, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they give us a new character for summer, but definitely not Agravain. I just don't think that would be that hype for summer or anniversary. I don't know if you're talking about anniversary. Anniversary, definitely not. He needs a vacation. He's in his 20s. Yeah, he looks like he's in his 40s, dog. He definitely needs a vacation. So, again, next week, we're going to be having the FGO Fest with Pecora as the ambassador, which is still strange to me, but that's still pretty cool. The Aniplex USA team is actually doing their own special stream of the JP news, which is new, which is crazy that they're doing that, but more power to them. I wonder if that has any implications, if any at all. And then JP has a fuck ton of streams prepared for next week as well, so be on the lookout. They're going to be talking about Samurai Remnant, Arcade, I'm sure, and other stuff of that nature. But of course, we're only really interested in the last couple of streams where they're probably going to talk about the games. So yeah, what do you think would they do with NA as part of the 8th anniversary? If anything, because if you go to the NA stream description, I wish I could zoom out a little bit here, but it's the way I have it set up. I don't know if you guys could read what it says here, but if you go to their stream, oh, I didn't mean to click that. If you go to the stream, I'm just going to copy and paste it to you guys. If you guys go here and read the description, they are specifically going to have English commentary talking about the JP news. So it says everything that they will talk about. So I assume they're not even going to talk about the NA game. They're just going to talk about the JP news, but with English commentary, which this is the first time they're ever doing that, which is interesting. So I'm probably going to watch this stream along with the other stream, just because this one actually has English commentary, so I actually understand what's going on. But it is possible they might talk about the NA game, maybe Narrow Fest, maybe Summer, maybe stuff of that nature. Mighty Change would be cool to actually get, but yeah. On Facebook, they said in-game updates. Did they talk about NA though, or USA? Because it literally only says English commentary of Japan's official live stream and upcoming game information. So it doesn't necessarily said our game information. It's just saying game information. So we don't know. We could presume maybe it's NA because it's the English. The English account or whatever. They're finally just gonna give English commentaries to NA players who play JP actually know what's going on. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know the motivation behind streaming JP, but again, we'll see next week. Next week is exciting because there's a lot of things that are gonna drop on us. Possibly some summer news like they did last year with Proto Merlin, 8th anniversary Servant, more quartz, of course. To see if there's any implications with the NA stream streaming JP news. But yeah, we're gonna allow the pity to roll over and trigger multiple times per banner. It's also coming to NA as well. That'd be insane. That'd be insane. But no, they're not gonna do that. That'd be sick though. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this stream. So next week, around the same time they're gonna stream, because I'm gonna react to the Aniplex USA stream. They're gonna be streaming at 9:45 p.m. PST, July 29th. So I'll probably be streaming like an hour or so beforehand, so we can react to the news together. And then of course I'm gonna do some gacha rolls for the 8th anniversary Servant, aka SSR Mike. And then it's gonna be sick nasty. So I wish you guys good luck for next week. And if you're an NA only player, then good luck with Oberon if you haven't rolled him already, or Summer if you're planning on rolling for Summer. Whatever your goals are for the foreseeable future, good luck with those. So I'm gonna be heading out now. Thank you guys for hanging out and chilling. And this was my tier list, or our tier list. Hopefully it was satisfying. It was fun for me to talk about the story with you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. We might do another tier list next week just to pass the time. Maybe a Lostbelt as a whole, every single chapter of the Lostbelts. I think that would be a pretty cool tier list. So I'll see you guys next week for that. Bye. Thank you for watching. See you later. And thank you again to MyKita94 for donating a couple dollars. So yeah, I'll see you later. Why are you still here? Why are you still here? Seriously. Why? Leave. You're kind of weird for sticking around, honestly. 8th anniversary is not till next week, so you have no reason to be here. Stream is over, dog. And